Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR505. It's AEW Worlds End, and it's year-end predictions part 2. But I am not alone. Have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show, it is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Happy New Year, Jaxie.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone listening as well. I hope you all had a good one.
Now, my maths is really bad, but I'm not sure when our first show was. It might be 2020. So this is like the fourth year of working together now, Eva.
Right. And we've not killed each other. Way.
Yeah. But I suppose everything's all right. Are you looking forward to finishing the year off strong at the start of the year, if you know what I mean? It's a bit weird, but it's AEW's fault.
Yeah, it really is. Hoping to kind of end the 2023 wrestling year with a bang, but you'll never know. So let's see how we get on.
Yeah, well, like I say, even you've got a chance today. Who knows?
Gee, thanks, James.
Now, I thought, you start as you mean to go on. So up next, anyway, our resident NXT expert and New Japan deity, and there's no doubt it's his busiest time of year. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
It's going. I'm somehow here. I don't, you know what I mean? Like you said, it's been a whirlwind. It's always an exciting time this time of year. Again, my favorite WWE Premium Live event is the Royal Rumble. I love it every year. So you get ready for the build to that. You have all the exciting stuff that's going on in New Japan this time of year with Wrestle Kingdom. AEW forced a last-minute type of show deal on us. I remember when they used to brag on how they weren't going to be doing monthly pay-per-views, and that seems like forever ago now. But, again, like you said, it's an exciting time, and it's a wonderful time for content. I'm pretty sure you noticed that, too, because everyone has so much content that it makes it easier for us to make content about their content.
But again, like you say, I mean, the thing is, we've been doing this quite a while now together. So, and it's weird to be complaining about the quality of wrestling. There's too much quality wrestling considering what we've been through. So I suppose we are a bit spoiled.
I long for those days when we only had Raw and just SmackDown, and you just had to deal with just that. No, like you're 100% right. Like the fact that we have so many options, we're just spoiled. But at the same time, it's one of those complaints where you're happy about it, but it's still like, wow, I have a lot to catch up on.
I shall have a doubt. But, of course, we've got the whole team here, and last but by no means least, and we're leaving together, but still it's farewell. And maybe we'll come back to Earth. Who can tell? I guess there is no one to blame. We're leaving ground. Leaving ground. Will things ever be the same again? It's a final countdown. The final countdown. Do you know how far back I had to go microphone from me? Anyway, it's Gina, everybody. It's the final countdown. We're there. It's year-end predictions. How you doing?
Happy New Year. Yes, hello. Happy New Year, team. How's it going?
Oh, I'm pumped up. Catching my breath back,
Feels
but pumped up.
Feels like 2024 has just kicked off with so much wrestling.
Oh, jeez. Is there something because too much wrestling? I know we don't want to say it, but come on.
We don't want to say it. We enjoy it, but there might be. Just slightly.
Yeah, it's annoying when a week's worth of wrestling kind of leads to like a month's worth of podcasts. And as you know, like how long ago does World's End actually feel like? Considering everything we've had. But it is crazy. It's not only it's only the last wrestling event of the. I have been drinking, everybody, just in case you're wondering. But we're going to find out today who wins the 2023 predictions. And the Prediction League's the big thing here we do on the WNR podcast. And of course, Prediction League's 2023 before World's End. As we left off on part 1, the bonus league with one bonus point left was Monty on 16 with guaranteed league win, James and Gina on 15, Jaxie on 12. In AEW, with one AEW show left, Jaxie James on 4, Monty Gina on 3. Now, the thing is as well, which is quite annoying, I mean, Jaxie, for you, because AEW have added this show, you were guaranteed a league win, and now you might not even get one.
Yeah, so AEW wanted to screw me over just as much as you did, James. I'm not sure whether or not you guys were in communication with one another, but I'm taking that shit personally.
No, well, to be fair, I would as well. Overall, so how we left it at this moment in time, Jaxie, you're on 21 points. Gina's on 31. Monty's on 32. And with a 2-point lead is me on 34. But who knows what could happen. We're going to get into it. A few AEW notes, because if I'm watching it, we're going to talk about it. And we mentioned the Continental Classic. And we saw Swerve beat Lethal and Jay White beat Rush in the gold group. Mox beat Mark Briscoe in the blue group. Luchasaurus was rechristened Kill Switch. We're going to talk about, but Gina, I just want to talk about Luchasaurus here. The whole point of this is for him to eventually turn against Christian, isn't it? I mean, what are your thoughts? Because I think Luchasaurus deserves a little bit of time here.
I mean, I feel like that's where they're sort of trying to take the story with Kill Switch, i.e. Luchasaurus, you know, just seeing all these opportunities stripped from him by Christian and just seeing him being belittled so much. You know, we all know that there's going to be a breaking point. We all know he's going to crack, and that's going to then, you know, bring on this turn, or that's what we're expecting. But it just gets harder and harder, because how much longer do you want to drag this out? Because the longer you drag it out, the less we actually think that's going to happen. And then Luchasaurus is just going to disappear from screens or something. I'm not sure. But it's where we thought it was going to go, or at least I did.
Yeah, what's it going to take for Luchasaurus to be like, look, enough's enough, or Kill Switch? Christian have to bring out like Luchasaurus's mum or something like this. You know, like when's the point?
I mean, yeah, I think Christian's going to have to do some slating against the dinosaur clan and bring out that hatred again.
Just bring out a massive dinosaur. It's like, here's your mum.
I definitely am going to touch on a lot more of even my own thoughts on what I think about Kill Switch when we get to sort of some of the other stuff that happens later on in the event. But I definitely want to say that there has to be something significant that's going to tip Kill Switch over the edge, you know? And I'm not sure how taking your hard-earned contract doesn't actually fit that bill. However, there's got to be something, there's got to be a pushing point for Luchasaurus. I just don't know what that is, you know? There's got to be something that's going to take him, you know, make him switch and actually realize how much he's being scapegoated by Christian.
Well, another story that has as much success is, of course, the Devil storyline, which, again, has been a bit up and down. We saw on Dynamite, MJF made reference to the Devils, interrupted by him, brought out Samoa Joe, who tried to screw him out of World Title Shot before Adam Cole said to MJF that you do owe Joe a title match. We saw on Rampage where the Utah beat Shibata for the Ring of Honor Pure title. On Collision, in Blue Group action, Claudio beat Garcia, Eddie beat Brody. On Dynamite, Gold League, Moxley beat Lethal, and Briscoe lost to Rush. We then see Sting and Ric Flair join Tony Schiavone to find out that Sting's retirement match will be on March 3rd, 2024 at Revolution. And apparently, Monty, this is his last match, I believe that. But this is the next AEW pay-per-view. So we're actually going to get a little break now after what we've just had, which is good.
Yeah, that is good. You know, again, they went to like a monthly format out of nowhere. Well, out of nowhere to me, just because, you know, I think it was expected eventually, because I felt like, you know, maybe they didn't want to keep just doing the kind of premium live event or kind of pay-per-view, but they were free on TV. Maybe they just wanted to do more of these, but, you know, it is what it is. I think it's good that we're going to get a little bit of a respite, but you know, again, I know how they tend to do things. We're going to probably get a battle of the belts or something of that ilk, something like that, before March, because that's usually how Tony tends to book these things. And, you know, again, it is what it is. I can't wait to see how the Sting match comes about. Are they just going to throw a match together? honoring Sting, or is it going to be a storyline for his retire? Do they even need to do that? What are they planning on doing going in that direction? But either way it goes, someone like me who kind of always had Sting there, it's not exactly the same, but it's very, very similar to when Undertaker finally walked away. It's just he's someone who's just always been there, always been constant. And then, like, for example, if you look at it the way Undertaker was always there for WWE, Sting was always there for whoever the biggest promotion that wasn't WWE. So it's kind of crazy when you think about that. We will finally move on, and it won't be any Sting. Will they just go to Darby versus Sting one-on-one match and just do it that way, type of deal for the end? I don't know, but I'm eager to see. Please, no. He can be out there.
No.
Can't we get Mark Calloway?
Yeah.
Can't we have Mark Calloway
No.
dressed up?
No.
Me, Mark Callis.
Biker vest, jeans, MC. We've seen it before. We can have Michelle McCool sing his entrance, and we can have a
Wow. Sound very familiar.
How are you, James?
No. Absolutely not.
Mark Callis is back.
Yeah, exactly. Big Red. Here comes Big Red. That's what he's known as. Anyway, we'll move on. Dante Martin returned. He teamed with his brother, Darius Martin, and Action Andretti to beat the Hardys and brother Zay in trios action. TBS Championship, Julia Hart beat Emi Sakura. We saw Christian Cage promo where he told the Rated R Superstar... Well, no, sorry. Rated R Superstar told him to go fuck himself. I get confused. There's a lot of fucking going on. Continental Gold League, Jay White lost to Swerve. On Collision and Blue League action, Brody beat Claudio. And Andrade beat Danny Garcia. Bryan Danielson made his return to the ring to beat Eddie Kingston. That's 0-2 for Eddie. Dynamite in Canada. We got John Moxley beat Roosh in Gold League, and Swerve Strickland beat Mark Briscoe. Briscoe's out. Hangman Page and MJF had a tense backstage altercation. Looked like it was going to be a tag match against the Devil's Henchmen, which never happened. Jay Lethal was knocked out with Jay White. Sky Blue lost to Timeless Tony Storm. And then TNT Championship, Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage. We saw a ref bump, and Shania Wayne, mother of Nick, turned heel on Copeland, and Cage won with a shot to the neck with his former friend to set up an injury angle. Vince Russo, eat your heart out. Jaxie, I know you got a lot to talk about Killswitch, but what were your thoughts on this, first and foremost? Because it's like everybody's turning heel at this moment. And it's all with Christian.
Right. Okay, so I just want to say I actually really do love what they're doing with Christian. Okay, so this isn't what I'm about to say doesn't like reflect on everything that's a whole. But do we need Nick Wayne's mum involved in this ongoing group? I don't know if they're a faction yet or what, but do we need Nick Wayne's mum? I don't understand why we need her in the picture, why she's on TV. I got it when it was at the point where the story was Christian trying to bring Nick Wayne over to his side and stuff like that. And she was in the crowd watching him make the wrong decision and turning heel and this, that. It worked. What? None of us needed this. None of us needed her turning heel. None of us needed her getting involved in this match. What were you even doing there, Shayna? Go and sit at home, have a cup of tea, and stay with the rest of your kids.
The story,
It's a bit sexist. A woman can go out and do things.
Yes, a woman
Gina,
can, but she's not a
but
wrestler.
I mean, Jaxie,
but she's
it's
not
the
a
21st
wrestler.
century,
All
right?
No, but she's not a wrestler, James. Is she wrestling in the ring? What is she adding?
She wants
to
go
this
out
faction?
and do work.
What's she adding to the faction? Yeah, but
I think
but that's what I mean.
a bit like Karen Jarrett, we always need a bit of eye candy, don't we?
Okay, that might be just your
man.
Yeah, that's your own personal opinion on that sort of thing, and I don't mean it in a sexist way. So let's definitely kick that out the boot. I just don't understand why she needs to be brought into the story. It just seems pointless to me. I get
Jaxie
that they clearly
less
wanted
women in
to
wrestling. I get it.
Oh, shut up. I don't really know whether or not I get that they needed something to stop this match because they didn't want there to be like, a clean finish here between Adam Copeland and Christian. This did not shock me, and I just didn't care for it either. So yeah, it was there.
We'll move on. On Rampage, Blue League, Continental Classic, Danielson beat Garcia. On Collision, Blue League, Eddie got his first points versus Claudio. Andrade beat Danielson. Bit weird if you believe the rumours, but elsewhere they dusted off Ethan Page to lose in his hometown, or his home country, versus Omega. Dynamite December 13th. Winter is coming. Joe thought Adam Page did it. Page disagreed. Roddy Strong think it's MJF. Who knows? The Golden Jets were called down by Kenny's injury. Blue League, Brody King lost to Andrade. Gold League, Roosh beat Jay Lethal. And Mark Briscoe lost to Jay White. Moxley beat Swerve. Rampage, Top Flight, and Andrade beat Penta Commander and Vikingo in a great match. Has anybody seen that? On Collision, Continental Classic, Gold League, Claudio beat Andrade.
It was awesome, that match.
Yes, it was so
awesome.
good. I was about to say, it was great, wasn't it?
It really, really was. Like, I'm loving more and more that I see of this Vikingo. I've seen one or two sort of clips of him from AAA wrestling, but yeah, just seeing him on AEW TV is always it's a nice little nod to see some of that cross promotion going again.
Right now, we also had another good match with Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander beating Diamante and Mercedes Martinez in a fun street fight. The women are allowed to do this about once a year. Like every December, Tony books a match like this. It's always good, but it's only in December.
Right.
Continental Classic, Blue League, Eddie Kingston beat Danny Garcia. If Mad King lost here, he would have been out. In the main event, Danielson beat Brody King. On Dynamite, in the Gold League match, Mark Briscoe beat Jay Lethal. Swerve upped his points total, defeating Roosh in the night's opener. In the main event, Jay White beat Mox, leading to a three-way tie in the Gold League between these two and Swerve. And speaking of Swerve, backstage, MJF confronted Strickland, tense exchange, and Swerve said, while you're failing tryouts, I was signing contracts. And MJF questioned whether Swerve was the devil. Gina, how fucking cool is Swerve? I mean, I was saying this when he was in NXT, but I mean, how cool? And surely now he is next in line.
I do feel biased because I did like him when I saw him in NXT, and so I feel like when he came over to AEW, I was already on his side because I really liked him from his WWE days. But still, he's so cool. He just oozes swagger, and you want to be his friend, but you also want to hate him. He's just cool right now, and he's really hot. So they just need to keep pushing it.
Without doubt. On Rampage, Black Tourist showed everybody not watching Impact or AAA how good he is. On Collision in Blue League action, Danielson drew with Claudio in a good match, opening the door for Kingston if he could beat Andrade after Garcia had upset Brody King. The Mad King did it. Thunder Rosa returned to team with Abaddon to defeat Julia Hart and Sky Blue. And then final Dynamite, December 27th, Gold League final, Swerve, Mox and Jay White. And Moxie showed grit and tenacity en route to pinning White following the Death Rider. Again, this was a great way to kind of, start the show and showed how well the Continental Classics work, like you said on the last episode.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is how you book like a tournament within a wrestling division. Each match like progressively got better and better. The weeks it going for throughout the weeks leading up to this. So even with Jay picking up the win and making it a triple threat, like sort of changed what we really thought would be a one-on-one final between the Gold League. So even that changed it up and made it just as much exciting. Again, my question though, where's the women's? Why are only the men getting this belt? Why are the men only getting this tournament? Explain to me that.
Yeah.
Honestly, because there's no reason as to why you're not giving the women this type of tournament with a new belt as well. The women significantly have less belts across every division. But give me a reason why Tony, yet again, introduces a new belt that no one asked for with a new tournament that actually worked so well to showcase some of the new upcoming, potential future faces of the company. And tell me why we're not doing that for the women. And tell me how creative are not actually going, this is a good idea. Why don't we do a continental tournament for a new continental belt for the men? And not one person was like, we should do this for the women too.
I think that's, like we said, that's something that Tony needs to address. You know, hopefully maybe the new year, you know, we do something
Definitely.
like this.
Because we just saw how well this has worked to showcase the likes of like Daniel Garcia, for example, who really, really shone throughout all of this match. He might not have been very effective with the points, but you know what? You walked away from his matches with more and more respect for him. And this is what you do with your young stars. You actually build them up. And how do you think that would do for the women? What do you think that would do for the women to give them not only extra screen time, but actually showcase the caliber of talent that you have sitting in catering? Like, Tony, wake up.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
my
true.
rant is over.
But the thing is, there's two things for me that kind of annoy me about AEW. There's more than two things sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, the lack of women's matches or treatment even of stories. And the other one as well is the amount of turns. And we saw yet another turn with Sammy Guevara kind of moving away from the Don Callis family, even though he's not really been there, to kind of team with Chris Jericho. I know Kenny Omega, you know, with his injury, he's not able to make it. But again, it just felt so sudden that it's lost its impact, you know?
Well, I mean, he did Sammy really even do much with the Don Callis family? Like he only just sort of joined it just before he went off on paternity leave. Congratulations to him and Ty Mello. However, you literally come back, he's turning into another Charlotte Flair and Big Show. Like, you actually don't know whether or not he's heel or face. Like,
my issue is as well. So, but again, it feels like a lot of wrestlers in AEW this year has not done a lot. So Eddie Kingston, I don't think, you know, in AEW has done really anything apart from the end of the year. You know, like, and I think there's a few of them where the talent just like either wait for moments or whether it is. And I think with the Continental Classic, to see that talent, you know, those same wrestlers week in, week out, shows that we don't need 200 wrestlers on the roster. We don't need a new wrestler debuting every week. Use what you got, you know.
Exactly.
But anyway, we'll let the other two talk in a minute. Anyway, Blue League final, Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. In the end, the fans' emotional investment in Kingston was rewarded in the form of the win over Danielson, who was openly mocking the Ring of Honor champion the idea that he could defeat him. After the match, Moxley interrupted Kingston's celebration and demanded his friend's best Saturday night. Monty, this was great, wasn't it? Because, again, Kingston's journey, he was behind in this. You've seen this before, because I've heard they've done it in Japan. But this was all about Kingston getting a big win.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome moment. Like you said, rewarding the people who've just been invested from Eddie from the start. It took them a while. It took Tony a while, and maybe that's what it is. I know you guys were just talking about it with the women's division. Maybe that's what it'll take for Tony. It shouldn't take 2 to 3 years for him to understand that the demand is for more women on the show, or more storylines for the women, and just more involvement in general. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe he catches on a little bit late, if it's not something that he immediately is a mark for himself. And I think that's what it is with Eddie. Eddie has had that connection with the people from the very beginning. So, it was to the point to where, not that I have a problem with it, because I get it, because maybe it's because of how Eddie looks, or maybe it's because he's unconventional. But even when Bryan is kind of mocking him, it's like, at this point, it is proven to be so good. The mocking haven't made much sense to me since he beat Claudio. Like, he's already proven to you guys that he's world championship, and like, he's valuable, and he's not really the underdog the way you would expect, but he's the underdog because basically we know that he hasn't been booked really well over the however long it has been. So I was really, really elated that they gave him this victory, because, and I thought it was the right thing to do. I think that's at the end of the day, that's what you want when you're watching these shows. Like you said, the wrestling in the Continental Classic from everyone down the line has been great. And I think all of us can agree with the talent that AEW has. We rarely ever is questioning the wrestling. The wrestling is really the main thing that draws people and keep them there. They not that they don't have a few embarrassing matches or bad moments, but it's always the decision making when it comes to story or, like you said, turns and just angle related stuff. That is the stuff that usually turns me off when it comes to AEW, speaking for myself. So to see them, like you said, execute a story through a tournament, tell multiple stories in that tournament, and actually seem like they knew what they were doing and actually had a direction that they wanted to go with the end result, I think, or like setting up the finals the way they did, I think I have to give hats off to them. And it's just I always wonder, why don't we see more tournaments like this? And there's plenty of reasons over the years. Now that I've just paid attention, like they're not necessarily easy to book. Like just because New Japan do it every year and do multiple tournaments a year, that doesn't mean that's an easy way to do things. Like, you have to put a lot of faith in not only the talent to be able to do that, but also the fans. They have to be invested. Maybe some companies or different times, you're not necessarily confident that they can hold the people's attention span without throwing some storyline in there, because a lot of this Continental Classic stuff was pure, competition and pure wrestling. And I think it's kind of awesome to me that, in my opinion, the highlight of these at the Build the World's End, the highlight of it was the wrestling-based stuff. And a lot of times, the thing that frustrated you about AEW going into this build was the other stuff. You know what I mean? Or confused you going into World's End was the other stuff. And I just think this was a perfect moment to encapsulate not only great wrestling, but they actually told a good story too.
Yeah. The other thing as well, just to finish this kind of little thing off, for me, my only other kind of annoyance is the fact that we don't really know who the main event talents are. There's not really like a, main event, mid-card, bottom card. I know there should be, and maybe people should, but it's like, we talk about Eddie Kingston. Where is he? Is he a main event talent? Is he the same as Mox or a Jericho, or is he like a Miro, or as we saw around Jade, or what about like Malachi Black? Like we don't. You know what I'm saying? That's what I kind of would want a little bit more of. And
the interesting thing is, I think the fans, we view Malachi like a main event or a possible main event guy, but he hasn't had a single match the entire year last year. So it's very crazy when you think about it.
Anyway, back to Dynamite. Sky Blue pinned Chris Statlander. Chris hadn't been pinned in 19 months. And then the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match. It sure started late. Joe had a knee injury that took him out of the clash, so MJF fought alone. And another masked man hit with a pipe, and he was pinned after a heat seeker. So after all that, it ended like this. Two masked men holding the Ring of Honor tag titles. Joe hit the ring, chased new champions, known as the Devil's Maskman, I guess. Back inside, he helped MJF to his feet, only to blast him with a chair. And him and the Devil, yes, one of my favourite words, were in cahoots. Gina, I don't know if you've watched any of WCW from 2000, but this was pretty close. What were your thoughts on this?
Definitely haven't watched any WCW or anything that I can recall or remember. But in a way, I want to say I saw it coming, but I didn't start thinking about the storyline on who it could be until the very end, if that makes sense. So once I started to think about the storyline, that's when I thought, right, this is kind of all setting into place now, and what they've been dropping in, hints and Easter eggs, especially with, backstage stuff that we've seen with Adam Cole since his injury, because he's still been quite active in being shown on AEW TV, whether that be with, Roderick Strong doing, house chores for him, or just being on FaceTime to MJF. So I definitely had a feeling there was going to be involvement there. But it's very interesting. I think it's even more interesting to see who was within the group as well that was helping with these devils, and the main one being Wardlow, because again, it's kind of like, are we going to get a sort of Luchasaurus 2.0 here?
Well, we'll find out. We'll go into more detail about that. But for the Ring of Honor tag titles to kind of change hands like that is a bit weird. But anyway, we've done the catch-up. It's now time for World's End. So December 30th, and we start with a 90-minute 0 hour. Yes, just what we want. Renee Paquette and RJ City minding the shop. Keith Lee is injured, so Dustin Runnels has taken his place. I wonder when Keith Lee will get another chance at a singles match at a pay-per-view. I wonder. Just put that out there. Last pay-per-view single match for Dustin was Double or Nothing 2020 versus Sean Spears. Little fact. Double J joins the two R's, and we then confirm the 3 titles can be defended separately as part of the Triple Crown for the Continental Classic. Stokely Hathaway joins Nigel Excalibur and Taz on commentary for our first match, which is Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander. They shook hands to show respect before locking up. The crowd didn't seem to know who to root for at times, but that's the risk when you run bouts like this. It picked up as it went. There's a few close botches, but Willow was able to hit the Dr. Bomb for the win. So, Jaxie, why don't you start us off? What are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for a 0-hour show, this is a pretty decent showing between both Willow and Chris. I think both of them had their sort of high moments, and really were able to kind of show off their strength levels. We kind of saw, what both of them could do when they teamed up against Diamante and Mercedes. So it wasn't like about a battle of strength. But really just kind of a battle of technique. And to be honest, like you rightly said, I was right there alongside the audience, not really knowing who to chant for and who to cheer for. I like both women. I think they both really worked well together. And even though there were a couple of botches, they weren't too noticeable, and they didn't do anything that took away from like the level of wrestling that both women performed. So I enjoyed it for what it was, and the fact that it was a 0-hour match kind of came across well. I thought, in my opinion. So I thought they did well, and I enjoyed it for the opening match.
And again, like you said, 3 women's matches, even though it's a 0-hour, but 3 over like a 12-30 match card. It's still a lot better than it has been. There has been
Exactly.
1 women's matches before, hasn't there?
Yeah, exactly. I think that if they'd have had more time to build towards this match, I think it even could have been one that people would have looked forward to being on the 0-hour in the first place. But even though it was on the 0-hour, it still did really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, about that. What would you score this out of 5?
I mean, I think it actually did well. I think both women did well, so I'm happy to give it like a 3.5.
3.5 there. Yeah, I mean, I think Chris has fizzled out recently. She's lost 2 matches now after not losing for 90 months like buses. But Willow should have a big 20-24. Gina, what you score this out of 5? And you're the only one that went Willow here as well, so you must know something.
No, definitely not. But I think 3.5 is fair for the match, and I agree with what you guys say. I mean, it does feel a bit lackluster because you had Chris come back, and she came back on this high and taking the TBS belt, but it just seems like it's been downfall since. So yeah, it's a little bit like, okay, well, what are they gonna do with Chris now? But it was still a good match, and I think it helped elevate Willow even more. She's such a lovable character, and I think it just helps working with Chris because she is a bit more of a veteran. So it worked for Willow, and I'm glad I went with her. But yeah, it still does pan the question of what do we do with Chris now?
Yeah, it's an interesting one to see what we do. Monty, I mean, the only negative I could say is the finish was rough as arseholes. But again, what would you score this out?
It was sloppy. Yeah, it was sloppy towards the end there. I think I'm not gonna say overall. I think I saw someone the night of. I wrote it down here that they said they believe that they don't have the best chemistry together as opponents yet because of how much they teamed. And I'm like, that's probably a fair point to make. Maybe they need to, do more against recently they've been teaming a lot. I don't know how much have they actually just been in the ring against each other. And like you said, everything about this felt kind of thrown together and random. Not that that's any fault to the lady. It's just one of those things where I feel like he wanted these girls to get a pay-per-view check. And, kudos to that. And I think that's why we kind of got this here, even though I do think it was a big win for Willow. And it worked out in that retrospect. But, yeah, it was solid, but definitely not either girl's best showing. But I think, and as far as Chris losing now, I think she still has a chance to do some big things next year. And with someone with her talent and her size and all that, you can always, just put her. She's very, very dependable, I think is the best way to kind of describe where Chris is, in my opinion. And the thing is, you have so many heels and so many turns in AEW. You don't necessarily know if it's time. I don't think you should rush it and turn her heel or anything like that. But I do believe that we'll just have to keep an eye on her. And I think Willow. This is the time Willow should be contending for one of the championships, or maybe even making a run at both at some point. You never know. Like try TBS, then try TNT. But I do think she's a value. She could be big. She could be really, really big for them if they play their cards right. So, but yeah, overall, I give it like 3.25. I thought it was solid, but definitely had a last 5 minutes maybe that wasn't the best. But yeah, I don't think anymore. I don't think they did anything wrong. It wasn't horrible.
No, I gave it 3 3/4. Predictions. Everyone went for Chris, apart from Gina. So it means Gina's on 1 and the rest are on 0. And it means I can no longer catch Monty in the bonus league. Gina still can, though. Serena Deeb is returning. She's been in a straitjacket. That's why she's been away. Took her ages to get out. 20-man battle royal next. The winner of the match was awarded a TNT title shot that was able to redeem at a time and place of the choosing. Nothing like the Money in the Bank briefcase. Competitors included names such as Danhausen, Brian Keefe, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, Dalton Castle. The creme de la creme of AEW talent. We saw some fun interactions and moments. We saw Lance Archer and Killswitch dominate the action and scored the most eliminations. But it came down to Trent Beretta and Killswitch at the end. But Christian Cage protege was able to get the win. Gina, what are your thoughts on this? For me, I just thought there's just too many wrestlers not needed in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, so can I just say, on our previous pod when we were doing our predictions for this show, I didn't give a prediction for this match, but I did talk about the match, and I said that it would just make sense to make Killswitch win it. So can I just say, I'm not expecting a point, but I'm just saying I did mention that Killswitch might win it. So I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that. But yeah, like you said, there's just so much talent. Some people that came out, you were like, oh shit, I forgot he was even here, sort of thing. It's so much talent, and they're just sat backstage for these novelty matches. That's all they're there for, just to be here for a novelty match and fill out the space. But we all know that who the final 4 it will be down to, or something like that. So yeah, it's a bit hard because you see characters and you're like, oh, that would be great to see them more on TV, but also what are they going to do with them at this point, because they've got too many people on their roster.
Well, also don't forget, Butcher and Blade have written in the contracts they only compete in Battle Royals. So, there are certain things like that.
Well, that's a bit silly.
It's a Battle Royal. I mean, what else could be really said about it? I will say Kip Sabian did a tribute to Mad Kurt. Excalibur called on commentary and gave his condolences to the family of Curtis Chapman, who wrestled for Rev Pro and was only 26. That is a shame. But Monty, again, but it's a Battle Royal, so there's not really much can be said about it, But again, we don't need this talent. We can get rid of half the people in the ring.
Man, besides Lance Archer and I'm just trying to. Dalton Castle is a former Ring of Honor champion, so I love him. But at the same time, yeah, Dalton Castle is someone else.
Like
but
him. Yeah.
But other than that, like, man, that's my beef. My biggest beef is at least put 1 or 2 other people that feel like they could possibly win this match. Like, that's the only problem. Like, no, not to take any of their pat off your back for predicting Killswitch, but once we saw who was in the match. I would Killswitch was the only choice to make, especially with who was going to be involved with the TNT title. So, yeah, no, it was, yeah, like you said, it was a subpar or just your run of the mill battle royal. So yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it, but at the same time, we could have done without the match. Honestly, just say, Killswitch is next.
Well, back in the old days, this would have been on the pay-per-view, so at least I'm glad.
Fair point
for that. Also, there's a sign that said CM Punk is a con artist, so I'm glad that fan's over it, just in case, no hard feelings.
Yeah, he's processing the news pretty well.
Yeah, it's fine. All right, Gina, so what would your score for this Battle Royal be?
Oh my God. I don't really rate it highly because, again, it was kind of just obvious on what was going to happen in this entire match, and therefore it wasn't really needed. So I think even giving it a 3 is nice.
Yeah, that's fine. Monty, what would you score it?
Yeah, I'm not two and a half. Like, yeah, whatever you give, just basic stuff.
Yeah, and Jack, see, this for me was just a waste of time. I don't know what you thought, and what's your score?
This was completely a waste of time. Obviously, given when you watch the whole event, after you've watched the whole event, you realize how much that match was a waste of time. So that's what I mean by that. Again, you guys touched on some important points of, oh, I forgot about this wrestler being signed to AEW because he's never used, and it just makes you think, again, what are you doing with this talent if you're not going to showcase them? Maybe put them on, let them work elsewhere or put them on other promotions. I don't know. Again, I'm gonna give it 2 3/4. But yeah, this match really did nothing for me. I actually feel like I was more entertained watching Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander 1-on-1 than watching 20 men in the ring. Yeah.
And usually I don't mind 20 men in the ring, but I'm gonna give it a 3, and we're gonna move on. Predictions non-applicable, as Gina pointed out, and again, she's not annoyed by that. So it means Gina's on 1 and the rest are on 0s. We've got Hook versus Wheeler Yuta, FTW Championship. Yuta tried to jump Hook as soon as he got to the ring, but the FTW champ came in swinging. They put on a decent match that made good use of weapons without making them the only source of offense. Hook retained his title by submission using red rum. Monty, what are your thoughts? And again, as I said earlier, Hook's 2023, much like most AEW talent, just hasn't got anywhere.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you assume big things, because he was on that run when he debuted of just feeling like one of the freshest talents, or just in general, just everyone I think was looking forward to what he would do, 1-on-1. But I think honestly the stipulation may have did this match a disservice. Honestly, it was no DQ, and you had. Honestly, they really couldn't do much because we knew what was coming later, if you really knew what I mean. And it's just like, besides that fact, you just kind of, one of the things with him being with Yuta being the pure champion, is just like, all right, FTW rules, we can go into this match, we can expect that Hook is going to come out on top. It was tough to watch, man. It was, in my opinion, but I wouldn't say it was bad. I don't want to say it was awful, but honestly, it was just one of those things where you would think it would have been more of an extreme match with the FTW rules, but I understand that it probably wasn't much that they could do, especially when you got both of those belts. Even though the FTW rules is not something they use all the time, so honestly, it's like, why not just let them go and have a regular match? But it is what it is. I don't think this was bad, but it was one of those things where on a night that kind of had an energy, and I'll talk about that as we get deeper into the show, that the energy just was very off for something, or AEW pay-per-view if you compare it to the rest of it. This was one of those moments at the very beginning where I was like, okay, I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more from both guys, but it was still solid nonetheless.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The crowd was quite quiet. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I have to agree with a lot of what Monty said about this match. Thing is, we've seen great work between Wheeler Yuta and Hook before, so that's not to take away from what they can do in the ring. We know that they work well together. We know that things go well. But for some reason, I don't know if it was kind of lack of build up to this match or whatever, but it didn't really feel like this match didn't feel important and to me. Like in the grand scheme of things, like important in terms of leading from a storyline or anything, it kind of felt like it just kind of was put on there so that, you know, there is a bit of like sort of no DQ play about stuff before the main show starts, you know. I think that both Hook and Yuta work well together, and can do a lot more. I don't know why, but something wasn't really connecting in this match for me. So like I didn't enjoy it as much as their previous match that they had, and I think you know, they've done a lot of good work building up a feud between them that you can continue to build up. But this match didn't do anything for that, in my opinion. I'm just kind of like, I'm at a loss as to what Tony's plan going into 2024 with Hook is going to be, because as you said, he started off quite hot because of his debut and everything. You know, and even had the likes of Post Malone coming out doing the actual music, which is his, you know, his opening entrance. So you know that there's been some high moments for Hook, and this match hasn't taken away from that, but I just don't think it did anything for either man, and I'm not sure what his plans in the future for Hook is, especially when Hook uh came. I said Post Malone, didn't I? I meant Action Bronson. Sorry. Yeah, when Hook is teaming with like all these different people, you've had him like team with Danhausen, you've had him team with Orange Cassidy, and he's a bit of a floater. So it's like, is there any key direction for Hook going forward into 2024? That's what I want to get at, because I don't want Hook to become another forgotten face in the background that's only going to be turning up in battle royales, you know, in 6 months' time. So I'm just kind of like confused as to where things go for Hook at this point. But we'll see, hopefully. This match was there. It did what it needed to do. I'm going to give it a 3.25. I just kind of wasn't invested. So,
Monty, what would you score it?
Yeah, I think 3.25, 3.25 is probably very fair. Like I said, overall, I would say it's forgettable, and I think that like you said, that doesn't do either of these two young guys any favor.
And Gina, what were your thoughts and what you score it?
No, I agree with the same. It was kind of there. I'm interested to see, you know, these two in the future, but I think like at the moment it just wasn't working for this type of pay-per-view. So it was just there, and it added to the time on this big match card, you know. So 3.25 is fair enough for me.
Yeah, I think 3.25 all round. Predictions, we all went Hook. So Gina's on 2, the rest of us on 1. Main show, we get 8 competitors from the Continental Classic in an 8-man tag match. Danielson, Claudio, Briscoe and Garcia versus White, King, Lethal and Roosh. Matt Menard's on commentary to support Garcia, who was upset that King wouldn't stop eyeballing him due the entrances. Danielson's entrance stopped Garcia from doing his signature dance. Roosh and Claudio started for the teams, had a great exchange of stiff strikes to set the pace. Whenever one man tagged out, so did the other competitor they were facing, so we got several different combinations within the first few minutes. Danielson's chest was still bruised from his match against Kingston, so every chop he took looked extra brutal. Everyone looked good, but Garcia was the star of the match. The crowd, the announcers all seemed to come alive a bit more when he was in the ring. After an exciting final sequence, Garcia picked up the win for his team by pinning Lethal. Jaxie, what are your thoughts? Great way to start the show.
I mean, this was pretty heated from the get go. Like this definitely did what it needed to do, which was like to like rile the crowd up and actually get them like, you know, starting to build up and shout up. So this was great fun to actually see all competitors from the Continental Classic. It was put together very last minute, wasn't it? This wasn't one of the matches that had been built up from a while. So I think this was like announced a day or two just before. The event, but overall I still think it was really well done. It again showcased every wrestler really well within the Continental Classic by putting them in this match. I don't know what's happening between Daddy Magic, Daniel Garcia and Brody King, but I'm all here for it. I don't know what's happening, but I just kind of want to see some sort of story build, because there's serious animosity between Brody King and Daddy Magic, and we still have not had a match between those two, as far as my recollection. Or do you know if they had a match
No,
one
I
on one
don't
yet?
think they have. Like literally, I
No.
was thinking about this, and also another one. And again, talking about in match, I don't know if we've had a Danielson versus Jay White 1-on-1 match. We might have done, but I can't. Not off the top of my head. Monty, they haven't.
Yeah. Monty, do you know?
I don't think Danielson's
No,
been in
I
Japan,
mean, I
has
doubt
he?
it.
So.
Danielson was in America, so no. Yeah, he was in WWE, so no. Jay White's whole career has been like since 2016, so no.
Yeah, okay, so I'm definitely up for that as a dream match at some point. But yeah, I couldn't help but feel during this match that there was a lot of my attention on Daddy Magic and Brody King, and I just couldn't help but think to myself, I don't think we've seen them one-on-one, and I'd like to see that, So hopefully going into 2024, they'll continue building on whatever storyline this is and pay it off with like a one-on-one match. I'd like to see that. But yeah, like I think it did what it did. I was disappointed with the outcome, predominantly because I feel like the heels, being Brody, Jay White, Jay Lethal, and Roosh, didn't do kind of that well individually within the Continental Classic. So I thought, by all coming together, they might pick up the overall win here. But I'm not mad at like either. I wouldn't have been mad either way at either win. But I was disappointed for the heel team because I feel like they could have done with a bit more, because they've really been showcased quite bad in a lot of the matches anyway. So, but it was overall a good match. I enjoyed it for what it was. I think I gave this like a 4, because I actually thought it was good. So
yeah, like I said, a really fun way to start the show. Gina, again, what were your thoughts on this? We talked about Garcia breaking out, but we've been here before. He's beaten Danielson. Looks like he was going to turn on Jericho last year, and they kind of stopped it. What's to say if that's going to happen again,
Yeah, it feels like the same kind of storyline that they keep going back and forth with, sort of within each sort of faction. But I think, like, Garcia, like you all said, has come out hot from this Continental Classic. But what do they do with him here? Are they going to do the exact same thing as they have done? And maybe tease him going away from the group entirely and going off on his own, or is he going to go from one group to another, join House of Black? What are they going to do with him next? And I think that will determine whether he actually kind of continues a rise or whether he kind of goes stalemate.
I completely agree. What would you score this out of 5?
I give it a 4.
I give it a 4. Monty, I get your thoughts, but I should say predictions on this, because Jackson Jr. went for the heels and Monty and I went faces. Means James Monty Jr. on 2, Jackson 1. But it also means that Monty cannot be caught and is the bonus league winner. So well done, Monty. He won the bonus league 16 to 15. James and Gina, you did it, son. You said that. You wanted to win.
That's it. That's all I need is to win a league. I started off strong.
well done,
I wasn't
Monty.
confident in my predictions, so I was able to get a couple. NXT really helped me because I know I got a couple of them perfect. So at the end of the day, I'm just again very, very proud. Glad it worked out.
Well, I'm so pleased. Like I said, Gina won the WWE League and you've won the bonus league. I couldn't think of 2 better people. I couldn't think of anybody else that'd rather win.
Fuck you, James. Fuck you. Okay. Like he's actually asking for a punch one day. I swear.
Oh, I love this show so much. So that's 2 more points, Monty. So it means the scores right now. We're going to get updated scores. Jaxie on 21, Gina on 31. But it now means, right at this moment, that James and Monty are tied on 34. And I've not even planned this. It's not like the Continental Classic. This is just what's happened. I think that's crazy, man.
Nice. Yeah, it's the thing. Like you said, especially when I told you that my end of year predictions were probably going to net me 0, and they ended up being part of the reason why I'm even remotely close. So Yeah, it's crazy how you always warn me, and that's why this year when we have to do it, I'm just gonna put down names, even if I don't think they're gonna be there in the company anymore, because I'm just gonna take those extra points. You said that would come back, and the bonus league will be important. So here we are.
Jaxie, don't worry, Lo. There is still 21 points on the line, or around that. So
Wow.
there's still a chance. You know, it's not. It's not over. It's like Eurovision.
Slim chance.
After the first half.
No,
It
do
might
you know what?
change with the
No,
viewers vote.
I'm Eddie. I'm Eddie Kingston. You know, I started off on the bottom, and watch, I'm just gonna come out on top. Just wait for it.
Unless it's Eddie Kingston like 2020, but
No.
we can't even see.
I meant Eddie Kingston 2023.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, Monty, what did you think of the opener? we went off piece.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. But yeah, the match itself, like you guys mentioned, was really, really good, especially with context. When you understand that it was thrown together and it was one of those situations where they were like, well, we have a lot of great wrestlers who were in the Continental Classic. Let's use them, and even if it doesn't have much of a build, these guys are great enough. They'll figure it out. That's more of what I'm talking about when I mention my frustrations with AEW sometimes, because they sometimes I think Tony or whoever makes the decision is like, I have some of the best wrestlers in the world. I don't have to come up with any creative plan. Let's just throw them out there and the people will enjoy it. And this ended up being one of those situations where you're damn right. You got some of the best wrestlers in the world, and it ended up being an enjoyable result. You guys were really on the money. I think the Danielson Jay White stuff, I don't know when we will get that, but that's very interesting for the future. Daniel Garcia, Brody King, or just Daniel Garcia in general, what could possibly be going on here? Will they get it right this time, James? You make a really good point. He seemed like he was on the cusp of being one of the top tier talents, for a while there with his feud with Bryan Danielson. And then they kind of seemingly forgot all about him and made him a sports entertainer. Which I will say that overall, when you get adding the dance, I guess it kind of worked out. But at the same time, like I said, I felt like as far as in the ring and as far as wrestling, he's been a finished product and able to be one of the best in AEW for a while now. So it's kind of cool. And I hope that they understand what they have there. But when it comes to AEW, like you mentioned before, they have so much talent. It's a lot of guys that could be on the cusp of world championship, aspirations, or just being very, very important in AEW, like Jay White or like some other people in this match. So, again, this was really, really good. I thought the talent that we had on display there really shone through any of the mistakes made booking wise, or any of the randomness that the match made. I think the talent made up for it. So this is a really good way to open up the show. And 0 Hour was kind of dead, but this one was something that was kind of, okay, all right, this show has the potential here. Let's see what they do after this.
Yeah, like I said, really good match. We move on to Miro versus Andrade El Idolo. The Redeemer went after Andrade before he could even get his entrance jacket off. Whenever Miro had a chance, he would talk trash to his wife, and she would talk just as much trash right back to him. Both men survived long periods in submission holds, but Perry ended up turning on Andrade. Who saw that coming? And helping Miro break out the figure eight. This paved way for Miro to lock in his finisher for the submission win. This match had a much slower pace than everything else, and the second half of the match was much better than the first, but I think there was a little bit of a disconnect with the crowd, possibly due to the rumours of Andrade leaving. And Monty, I mean, what are your thoughts on this match? And I wonder if Andrade will be happy back in WWE, because, again, there's a few wrestlers that the grass isn't always greener, shall we say.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But the thing is with Andrade, I think WWE even should realize, like, first of all, not only has he taken care of himself, and and he's done even though AEW just couldn't find much to do with him. I feel like other than like the Matt Hardy financial office or whatever the hell they were, the Hardy family. Other than that, when they merged those groups together.
Remember that? Jesus Christ.
Oh, my goodness. Other than that, yeah, they had him in that group for way too long, by the way. But other than that, and the stuff with Sammy Guevara that presumably happened backstage, he really did really good, in my opinion, when they finally focused him and allowed him to just do what he do best, and that is be one of the best in-ring talents that you had. Like we saw it in NXT. Everyone loves talking about that certain era. Well, Andrade was an NXT champion during that black and gold era, and had put on some of the best matches before that and after that in WWE. So I think you're 100% right. The grass isn't always greener when it comes to decision making and booking. Sometimes you just go to a place and just come to find out, well, everyone's here. So now they have to find something for you. It has to make sense. And he had no direction for much of his AEW run. And I'm pretty sure that both sides, WWE and Andrade, will be happy to be, joined back together, because not only can you see plenty of potential places the WWE could go with Andrade, it's also just at the end of the day, he's gonna be back with his wife. He's able to, they can travel together. He's gonna, their schedules, who knows? At the end of the day, especially with everything Charlotte is going through with her injuries and all of that, I'm happy for them personally that they get to spend more time together in that retrospect, because as much as I believe it can be done, like we see it with Rhea and Buddy and all of that, at the end of the day, if you can hit the road together, you can't tell me that's not better when you're with your significant other, and especially when you're married and all that type of stuff. So that's another personal aspect of it that makes it better.
But it's Charlotte, though. I mean, I don't want
to. Come on, man. Charlotte needs love, too.
Hey, can I just say as well, we'll bring this up, I'm still not over Andrade beating Drew McIntyre for the NXT title. I'm sorry, but if we're going to go back.
He was awesome, by the way. It was an awesome match, but yeah. I know of course you're not over it, but it was perfect. Zelina was there. Come on now. But anyway, the point is, Andrade is going to do big things. This match itself was awkward. I think, like you said, the fans kind of knew that the fix was in, that this was in. I kind of told you guys in my prediction, I didn't think Andrade, I think he had 1 foot out of the door, which just shows you how amazing of a wrestler he is. He was in the Continental Classic knowing that this was it. And he was wrestling his ass off, man. Like, that just show you how good Andrade is, in my opinion, just the quality, because he didn't phone it in my opinion. Even in this match, even though the energy and the paces was different and all of that, I don't think he phoned it in. I think he worked his ass off. But the problem with this one is, like you said, all of the weird stuff with CJ. I mean, like you said, we should be past this. Why is someone who's married to the woman battling someone else who really don't really have a horse in this race, but just doing their job, basically? But he's defending someone. Like, it's just such a weird ass story that I'm hoping that they're done with it. Just let's move on. CJ don't not need a new client or anything that's gonna threaten Miro. I don't know what they're gonna do next. Honestly, it was such a weird ass story to me, but I just hope it's over. But Miro winning here, I just figured that was the right thing to do, because Miro, his contract is not up, so we'll see where he could be returned to WWE soon too.
There's another wrestler what's he done this year? Like, again,
there's
just too many.
He sat at home most of it. Sat at home most of the year. Yeah.
Again, we talk about CJ and Jaxie. I know you don't like women in wrestling, especially managers. But with CJ, I think she needs maybe a little bit of work, because she started calling herself Lana during this. And even shouting out at one point. She actually shouted out Lana's infected finger, which sounds like a Roald Dahl book. And she's the one that said it. So that's what
Did she actually call herself Lana? Oh, for
yes.
You idiot.
It's been a while.
I didn't even notice that.
Thing is, right, so I obviously chose the wrong choice here. This was before, so I made this prediction before I actually saw the confirmed news. I was really trying to stay off of Twitter before we were doing the prediction. Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, fuck you. But yeah, I think when it came out, I kind of realized I messed up, and I just thought, you know what? Even if I actually message you, James, and say, can I change my answer now that seeing this? I thought to myself, everyone on the pod just heard me actually say Andrade, so they're just going to think that I've just cheated somehow, and I didn't want that. I just feel like this match really didn't do anything for either man. I think it was a great match and a great way to send off Andrade, yes, but I don't think it did anything for, Miro, who is staying with the company going forward. CJ, what was the point in all of this? You tried to like do something with Action Andre. He got beat to ass by your man, and I can't help but feel like you just wanted to get this boy beaten up, and then you join Andrade just to turn on him for the. Again, the cogs are turning, but I don't understand any of this. This to me just felt like a husband and his wife had a massive argument, but before
They let out
she
some
turned
steam.
up,
I'm not gonna lie,
yeah,
they did let out, wherever they had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah,
I didn't mean
basically.
it.
It basically felt like these two had a massive argument just before she turned up to save his ass at whichever event it was and made her debut. And because of like they had a massive argument, he was like, fuck this, I don't even want to acknowledge you. So he walks off and then they build it into a storyline. That's what it felt like, because it felt like there was no reason as to her debuting, coming back and then being like, nah, I'm not feeding you, just for you to turn on your client. So like this again, I'm actually just baffled more than anything as to what they wanted to tell, what story they wanted to tell.
It's Tony's booking, all right?
It told the story that Andrade is an idiot.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Getting involved
he did marry Charlotte.
So of a lover fan like this was actually going to work out in his favor.
Yeah. I mean, he really should have thought about this. Like, oh, you want to represent me, even though your husband is this murder machine? Yeah, sure. Of course, you're not going to turn on me. Cool. Like,
they turn each other all the time in AEW.
I'm stupid for thinking that, based just off the talent, like Andrade was going to pick up this win, and that CJ wasn't going to be. Well, to be honest, I didn't actually account for CJ being there. I really did think that, due to everything that she had been battling, at the hospital, I thought she might have taken it easy, and I wasn't too sure as to whether or not she'd turn up. So I was actually gambling it quite a bit with whether or not she would actually turn up. But yeah, I'm not surprised from this turn, but like this match did nothing for me, and it's sad to say because I love both these wrestlers. I wish Andrade the best. I hope that Miro has a better 2024 where he's actually seen on TV and not just sat at home sulking. That his wife is getting more screen time than him. We'll see. But right now I'm left baffled by CJ and Miro and whatever story they wanted to tell. They're weird.
Yeah, I mean, this should have been on Collision. Gina, I think you'd agree with me, maybe, that I would rather watch House of Black versus FTR than Miro versus Andrade at World's End.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. I think others would too. Again, I think because, as you all pointed out, everyone had checked out. They just, wanted to wish Andrade the best and was like, okay, see ya, but no one took this match seriously. So to be honest, was it needed on the pay-per-view event? Was it needed on the card? The storyline wasn't one that we were all invested in, as we've all clearly made clear that we were just not interested in. It didn't make sense. So yeah, it just felt a little bit pointless to be on this match card, to be honest.
Right, so out of 5 then, and Monty, what would you score this out of 5?
Yeah, man. So you learn from Bobby Lashley, Andrade, and Dolph. You stay out of Lana and Miro or CJ and Miro's business, please. But yeah, again, I don't have a problem with the actual action, other than the weirdness around the story. 3 3/4 is where I go.
Yeah, Jaxie.
Yeah, I gave this a 3.5.
And Gina.
I'll give it a 3 3/4.
Yeah, I'll go with 3 3/4 as well. Predictions: James and Monty went Miro. Jaxie, Gina went Andrade. So it means James and Monty on 3. Gina's on 2. Jaxie on 1. Nigel left. Tony S. Nigel left. Tony S. took his place. Should really put a comment there. Tony Storm versus Rio for the AEW Women's Championship. Storm tried to big-time Rio by patting her on the head, but all it did was anger the former women's champion. She tried to slam Storm, but she couldn't get her off the mat. Most of this match saw timeless Tony dominate Rio by overpowering her in every exchange. Luther was eventually ejected from ringside for getting involved too many times, giving Rio a chance to make a comeback. Much like the previous bout, this one got better as it went on. The crowd was behind both competitors. Storm ended up retaining what looked like a very awkward modified DDT. Mariah May came out and threw flower petals all over the ring for Storm to celebrate. Gina, what were your thoughts on this? And I don't know if we mentioned it, but I don't think no one's made a gimmick work more in 2023 than Toni Storm as well. She's all in, pardon the pun.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that the crowd was behind Toni and they were all loving her. I don't think I've ever heard Riho really get booed before, and she was getting kind of a few boos during this match. So, but again, it wasn't boos because people don't like Riho. They just truly are that much behind Toni at the moment. I mean, she's built this persona up so well, and even I kind of disliked her in the very beginning, and now I've grown to just love every segment that I see her come in on. So yeah, it's brilliant. And I didn't really believe that Toni was going to lose the belt here to Riho, but I thought it was a good match, and it was great to show that, you know, Toni can beat like former champions, and Riho being one of the strongest, because she's is she a 2-time AEW Women's Champ? I'm sure she's 2-time at least.
I think she's the first ever, isn't she? But again,
yeah. But I think it's still a strong win for Toni overall, because, you know, beating past champions kind of puts you up on a level to show that you're on the same wave as they are, and that you deserve to have the belt in my eyes. So I thought it was a good match overall, and I enjoyed it. And the crowd were definitely woken up. If they were quiet before, they were definitely woken up for this match.
No, she's only a one-time champ. But again, like I said, the crowd was good for this. Monty, the match was good, but again, as I was talking about Toni, reinvention is key to a star, and she's already had like 3 or 4 different careers already.
yeah, it's true. It's very, very true. You know, again, I love everything she's done, like storyline wise, promo wise, mannerisms, all of that type of stuff. It's very, very cool. It's different. That's the one thing that's another thing that when it comes to that, when you're trying to reinvent yourself, you got to do something that no one else is doing. There's nothing really like her right now in wrestling, and I think that's one reason why she's pretty much on our TV screen, and that's why she's the champion now. She's on TV screen every week, and that's why she's the champion now. So I give her another 100% nothing but love for that, because I think she kind of not only was she won the title 2 different times, but this year, this past year, you know, I think that kind of vaulted her to right behind Rhea Ripley, in my opinion, as far as like top women of that last year, because she was able to make something else work so fast, to the point to where as much as I would love Sheeta to have kept that belt, it makes sense that he would go right back to Toni because of just how hot that character, you know, became. And like you said, she's committed to it, whether it's on social media, whether it's when she's on commentary next to Shivani and the crew. She's just 100% all in, and you have to give her love for that. My only problem is, and this is the one thing, and I know you guys are usually, and nothing particularly bad happened in this match, but the overall quality, and maybe this is me because I watched her for a time in Stardom. I know what she's capable of, Mae Young Classic, and you know, just when she was in NXT UK. I know what Toni Storm can do in the ring, even to her initial run as a wrestler. Maybe that was a little bit too plain. You needed to do something character-wise to get people invested, and I really get that. But the quality of her matches has taken a slight hit, especially to the point of the all needing all the antics. And I'm just wondering if the commitment to the character of who timeless Toni Storm is, has that taken away the edge from her, like how she wrestles? Because she went for so long not needing any of the help or any of the distractions, any of the weird stuff that happens in a lot of her matches as timeless Toni Storm. It's just kind of weird to me to see her wrestling completely different. But again, that's part of that commitment. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. I just think it's different.
I think that's an excellent point as well. Like you said, I mean, there's no doubt Toni was an excellent in-ring worker, and now it seems that the character's kind of bang on, and that's kind of taken away, which is a little bit of a shame. And Jaxie, as you've talked about, the women's division just needs purpose, whether that will be rankings or meaning, or like you said, or
Mhm.
Continental Classic, or
Yeah.
just something, and we just waited too long.
I mean,
And I
like,
don't think the answer is just
you just give
one
them
star
tag
either.
belts. Give them
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, give them tag belts. You've got quite a few different women at the moment like that are doing great with tag team work. Again, just because it's not worked for one division doesn't mean it couldn't work for another if given the right amount of screen time and actual dedication to the women wrestlers. And the trust for them to carry those belts and make something of them, but give the women something else. It's good, like you said, that we've seen 3 matches on this card, but give the women something with some more drive, give them something more to work towards at this point, because right now there is a lot of insignificance that comes with women's matches because there's no purpose, there's no point, there's no drive, really. So yeah, apart from that, I'm digressing from the actual match. I have to agree with a lot of all of your statements, though. I think that the gimmick that Toni Storm is running with, the character and everything, the dedication she's put into it is really good. But I have to agree with Monty that even watching her on slightly a little bit of NXT and even WWE, I feel like her work hasn't progressed or anything. So I know she could do it much more from this. I'm just kind of waiting to see sort of like a high caliber match from her. I mean, I'm quite interested to actually see Serena Deeb return and then potentially have a match off with Toni, as I'm not too sure whether or not we've really seen these two one-on-one ever, or in my opinion, I haven't seen that. So that would be an exciting sort of potential match for her. But again, really, the gimmick is the character is what's driving Toni's what do you call it, draw right now. What she's got from the crowd, like this hyperness and eagerness of seeing her as her character. So we'll see where things go from here. But this match was like just kind of there. Like you said, the finish kind of was really flat for me. But then again, I actually really don't like Toni Storm's. What's her final move called? Her finisher.
It used to be a. it's not what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever it is, I don't think it's well executed because it doesn't really feel like it's a finisher whenever she performs it. So for me, I'm just kind of like I kind of want to see a bit more finesse maybe out of Toni when it comes to the wrestling in the ring. She's got the character work down and like the mic work down and everything, but just a bit more finesse in the ring, I suppose. But yeah, this match was kind of just there for me.
Yeah. So scores out of 5. Gina, what would you score it?
I'll give it 3 3/4 because it was an okay match, but it also was just there.
Monty?
Yeah, 3.5.
And Jaxie?
3.5 too.
Yeah, give it 3 3/4. Predictions, we went Toni. So James and Monty on 4, Gina on 3, Jaxie on 2. We get Dante Martin in feud. Orange Cassidy offers him a title match. Great, we're away. Up next, Swerve Strickland versus Dustin Rhodes. Swerve had a main event level entrance and reaction. Rhodes actually won their last encounter by DQ, so Swerve was looking to get his win back. He wasted no time and dropkicked Rhodes as soon as he stepped through the ropes. Nana pulled out a cinder block and Swerve stomped Rhodes' leg through it. Several officials helped Rhodes to his feet. It looked like he would help him out the arena, but he decided to compete anyway. Wasn't a good idea. Match wasn't great, but the last couple of minutes regained some of the crowd with some trash talking and taunting, but it didn't make much of a difference. Strickland scored the win with a double stomp. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this match? And for Swerve, only shitty booking can stop him now.
I don't want so any discussion that we have on here. This isn't like against Dustin, okay? But I just feel like they should have just taken this match off the card the minute that Keith Lee announced he was injured. It's not that I don't really feel like that there was a a point to this match. Like, I think a one-on-one match between Dustin Rhodes and Swerve is good, but considering it was an already long pay-per-view, I don't really feel like it was necessary to continue that. And this match really could have been one that just kind of this was like a Dynamite match or a Collision match. Without me, like, that's no offense to Dustin, if that makes sense, but like, this match didn't mean anything. There was no significance,
Yeah.
no storyline apart from the fact that he's Keith Lee's best friend and or partner. And that's fair enough. That's all good and well. But like, this one-on-one match between Keith Lee and Swerve was definitely like meant to happen way back when. So like, Swerve hasn't done anything remotely right now to Keith Lee to warrant Dustin Rhodes to be like, I want revenge for my best friend, so I'll take his place. You know? So
Yeah,
as much as I love Swerve,
Dustin's like, Keith, you injured yourself. I need to get revenge.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel like, as much as this isn't about Dustin, I just don't, and I love Swerve, I just didn't really care for this match because I don't feel like this needed to be on World's End. This could have been on Dynamite or Collision.
I would much rather had a promo from Swerve than this. Even Swerve said it was a waste of time, you know?
Yeah, I really do feel like having him actually come out so you can still get his music, you can still see Prince Nana, you can still have the crowd dancing along with him, like, give the crowd what they want, but have him come out and just cut a promo, like, whether or not that's to Keith Lee, whether or not that's addressing, you know, the promo that he recently did backstage with Samoa Joe and MJF, which was really great, you know. He could have just run with it. He really could have, and that could have been like a short 5-minute segment, and instead of like this match. So for me, again, this match was pointless, and that's no offense to Dustin. It just didn't need to be here.
What would you score it?
It feels harsh to give it, but it's because of it wasn't needed that is getting the score. But I gave it a 3 1/4.
3 1/4.
And I love Swerve.
Yeah, no, Swerve. This is the only thing that just didn't
it's
make
just,
me cuss it out,
yeah.
but it just felt the pay-per-view's long enough. We didn't need this.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
I don't know your thoughts, Monty, but sometimes, like with WWE, it would say they know how to treat stars, so you don't need to see him wrestle all the time. And I know Tony was like, "Oh, Swerve, we promised to wrestle," but when it's meaningless, it doesn't add anything, does it? And he could get injured.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, Jackson was just spot on right there. You know, 100% what I would have did, and I know armchair booker or whatever you want to call it, but definitely just have Swerve come out there, do his entrance, and in particular, just say, you don't have to say he's going to be next for whoever wins the main event, but just say he's putting Samoa Joe or MJF on notice, whoever comes out, that, you're lucky Keith Lee got injured here tonight, because it didn't matter. I was going to injure him anyway, and whoever come out, whoever in the main event, just know that you on my next on my list or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have just something simple like that. Let people see him, get it out the way, and then we move on, because you're 100% right. It was unnecessary. We all knew that this was just basically filler once Keith Lee was hurt anyway. And I told you guys before the Keith Lee match that felt like filler, because they just kind of threw to Keith Lee out of nowhere. Keith Lee gave a promo, and then Swerve was like, you know what, Keith? Yeah, let's fight. Because it was threw together in the first place, even if Keith was there. So at least they had history to go back on, like you mentioned. So yeah, it was tough. It was one of those things to where it was like, also after he hurt him, Dustin fighting it wasn't too long, but he kept fighting for a while. And just like, come on, man, we know it's gonna happen, man. Like, just let it go. You can let it go. Matter of fact, they could have just did the injury angle, and it probably would have been just fine. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff. And then again, with the energy, the crowd knew. I'm sitting at home midway through the show, just like, at this point, the show just didn't feel that special. The whole entire world in at this point, and what's about to come up next is just like, I don't even know why I'm watching this. But I'll leave it alone. We'll get to that. We'll get to this anyway. Yeah, because thanks a lot, James. You know what I mean? But yeah. I love, like you guys said, Swerve was hitting it out the park, but this is a great example, James, of what you just said. And the same thing we talked about with Daniel Garcia, same thing we said about Darby at one point in time. anyone who's been on that ride, hell, even Sammy Guevara, in the midst of one of his many TNT title reigns, whoever we thought possibly had a chance to get to that next level, the only thing that can stop them is the inconsistent, bad, and unnecessary booking. And let's just hope they get right back on track, which seemingly like Tony Khan decided to do after this show with Swerve.
What would you score out of 5?
3.5, just for out of respect for the two workers, because none of that was their fault.
Gina, I mean, like I said, it swerves well and we're living in it, but again, just another unnecessary match on AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly kept this match or created this match with Dustin just to keep Swerve being shown on a premium pay-per-view event, because he's so hot right now. They figured it would be worse to not have him on the show. But again, I agree with all of you guys. I don't really think the match was necessary. They should have just cancelled it. It's also kind of made the storyline of Keith Lee and Swerve just start to feel more and more irrelevant. They just keep visiting this every 6 months or so, and when we get to the match, they actually have to cancel or rebook due to injuries. So it's just kill off the storyline, because it's just done. Every time you try it, something worse happens. So it was a good match, and the last 10 minutes of the match was probably the most interesting part of it entirely. So yeah, I mean, the beginning part was a bit longed out for me. They could have just hurried it up and got it over with. So I gave it a 3 3/4.
I do feel a bit sorry for Dustin, because I'm pretty sure he announced 2024 would be his last in-ring action, and no one gives a fuck about it because of Sting. Sting's getting a whole rundown and pay-per-view and all this, and Dustin get a match. We don't even want him on pay-per-view. We're going, why don't you retire already? Hey?
I mean, that's true, but it's more so like, I'm really sorry that you were put in this position, Dustin, because rightly so, Tony should have just taken this match off the card, because this match, again, was a long time coming, that everyone was kind of like, oh, we're only just getting this match now. So there wasn't that much significance to this match apart from what fans would remember from months ago, so any new fans would have that were just checking out the show wouldn't have even cared, because in terms of knowing that Keith Lee was injured and Dustin Rhodes was replacing him, there was not much story left behind this to warrant for Dustin to take his place. And it's just unfortunate that he was a victim of booking, bad booking. This just didn't need to happen.
Well, I went 3.25 out of 5. Predictions, you all went Swerve, so it means James and Monty are on 5, Genius on 4, Jaxie's on 3. Up next, we get Sting, Darby Allin and Jericho, and Sammy Guevara battling Takeshita, Hobbs, Big Bill, and Starks in the second 8-man tag match of the night. And you could tell the vibe of the arena was different for this bout. People were still singing Jericho's entrance, and Jericho really didn't seem to give a fuck either way, so that's either good or bad, depending on perspective. But every time Jericho was in the ring, you could hear fans reacting negatively. We aren't going to go into details about why, but just Google it, This match is exactly what you would expect it to be. The Hills beat up Darby for a long time until Sting got the hot tag. Had some fun spots, but several awkward moments. Guevara scored the win for his team with a pin over Ricky Starks. Again, this is interesting. Monty, what are your thoughts on this? Because this match, I don't think I've ever watched a match quite like this. It's so weird.
So I'm gonna get Sting out of the way first, because I love him, and all respect to Sting, and everything Darby and Sting have done together has been cool. And he didn't look the best here. And I think this is one of those times where I was like, you know what? I think as great as those aerial maneuvers and some of the stuff we saw Sting do over this recent AEW run, this is the first time where I looked at him in the mirror. I was like, you know what? I get it. Revolution might need to be it. I get it. And there's no shot. I mean, he's basically admitted it himself by announcing the retirement. But you know what I mean? It's like I don't know how much longer he needs to be out there put in these situations. But to be honest, this is way bigger than him. From the you mentioned it, the entrance from Jericho and all of that. I don't know. I wasn't really expecting Jericho to sell it much. He's a worker. He's been doing this a long time. he's someone who looks up to Vince McMahon, who also basically had an entrance not too long after some allegations and just no-sold it too. You know what I mean? Yeah, no-sold it too. Yeah, I'm not trying to laugh, but you know exactly what I mean by it.
He was a fan of Epstein. There was a lot of
yeah, it's a lot of questionable stuff about Jericho if you really want to look for it. If you think about it. And so I'm not surprised that he just no-sold it and didn't really care. But the crowd, some of the people there who know what's going on, because obviously you knew, because most of the crowd disrespected Jericho throughout the match. So the people who sung it was just like, it just left a bad taste in your mouth. The entire energy of this show, in my opinion, was affected by what Jericho went through earlier that day. And I think, the day before that too. And I think the thing is about that is, it made sense now why the pacing of the show, why everything just felt disjointed. That was the best way I could describe the first part of this show, all the way up to this in particular moment right here. It was just everything about the show just didn't feel like what I'm used to from an AEW pay-per-view. And I think a lot of that had to do with what Jericho had going on. And the crowd reflected that too. In this match, everything he did, he was booed, even though we know they're trying to tell the story that he's a babyface. Another big minus to this is that Ricky Starks had to get pinned, I understand that maybe Sammy and Jericho. It sent the wrong message to me. That it's like, oh man, that means Jericho and Sammy might be challenging for those belts next. As if anyone wants to see that, wants to see those guys as tag champions right now. Yeah, it's cool. That's what we want to see. Like, at least let Sting or Darby get the win, so you can get the good pop or something. Maybe you can just get out of there without looking weird. And no offense to Sammy, he's another unfortunate bystander of that entire mess. But it's just, again, everything about this just kind of felt off. The match itself was not the best. It wasn't spectacular at all. I told you guys from the beginning that it felt, even if Kenny was there, this match kind of felt like unnecessary. I would like to think that maybe if Kenny was able to go, and in a perfect world, no allegations, all that, maybe this would have been a regular, tag match for the tag titles here. And maybe that's what we would have gotten. I don't know. But yeah, everything about this was just kind of weird, awkward. And honestly, I feel bad for everyone in that match that wasn't named Chris Jericho, because I don't know how. I don't really know what they could have done to make anyone come out of that match or in that scenario. I don't know anything you could have done to make it be like, you know what, despite it all, that was good. I just don't know, because I felt like from as soon as Jericho's music hit to the end, I just immediately was like, yeah, let's just get this out of the way, please.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? I don't know if anybody else knows. We mentioned Sting, and it's a great point, but does Sting always paint his hair? I never thought he did, but he actually did. As in, like, the face paint was black on his brown hair, which I don't know if he did for the first time or what. Maybe it's just me that noticed that. But I was just like, that's a bit of an odd choice.
I noticed it, but I don't know if it's something that I just haven't been noticing for years.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
so I don't really want
to. Yeah. We talk about Ricky Starks taking a pin. Gina, how pleased and proud of you for refusing to work with Jericho, just give him the finger.
I mean, definitely. I literally had the biggest grin on my face as soon as I saw Ricky do that. I thought that was so hot of him to do. I don't know whether it was a work or whether he truly, just wanted to do that and was like, fuck this, I'm not working with you. But if that was truly just like him saying, fuck you, I don't want to work with you, then, I got mad respect for it, because that's a big thing to do. And, you're kind of not, when I say risking yourself, I'm not saying that like Jericho's some sort of mobster here and he's going to have Ricky taken out just for that. But
it's Tony D. He's going to get him in the back of the car.
Exactly. No, but it's like, obviously he's got influence, so we don't know sort of any repercussions that like Ricky may have got from doing that, or whether it truly was just a work. But for me, I just thought fair play, because a lot of people were probably thinking or wanting to do that. So seeing him do that probably won Ricky brownie points.
Yeah, and it was nice to hear Taz talk about Hobbs and Starks being able to work together during their time in Team Taz as well. It was like the old days, for a second.
It's like dangling it though, because I really loved Hobbs and Starks together, and I don't see why they split them up. You know, it's hard to not see them together. So it's such a tease to get this little matchup between them, but they still look like they've got a bit of hostility towards each other in a way. So we'll have to kind of watch how that goes and see whether they can reunite later on down the line or not.
All right, Jackson, before I get your thoughts, I've just got something to say, and I know no one else is thinking this, but I'm going to say it. Where the fuck is Ric Flair? Right? Am I confused? Or didn't he say he wanted to be with Sting every step of the way? You know? Maybe because of the Jericho thing, they didn't want to make it worse. Or maybe we are finding out.
Maybe I think it would have made it worse. I think it would have made things worse.
Maybe we're finding out what it's like to have Flair as a father who makes promises but breaks them and is never there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
You took this personal, huh?
I mean, are you sure it's me that has an issue with a Flair? Oh, yeah, it seems to me you've got certain issues with a certain Flair too.
Rick was never there.
Yeah, well, probably best at this point. I think you guys have made some really great comments about this, and I don't really have much more to touch on when it comes to the match or the whole Jericho situation. I think you guys have all pretty much summed it up pretty well. The one thing I will say is I also agree with Monty. I feel sorry for everyone in this match that wasn't named Chris Jericho. I do also agree. I started to see it in this match that Sting does need to retire now. I feel like there were some spots that he was supposed to like hit and he didn't. Which is a little bit sad to start to see from wrestlers like that. Is kind of like, yeah, I think this is probably the best time at Revolution to kind of call it here. I really do feel sorry for everyone that this match took away from, because ultimately I could not get into this match with the news, and ultimately Chris Jericho. This match was about Chris Jericho. Whether you liked him, whether you hated him on this news that came out, whether or not regardless as to what your opinion about this match, wasn't about anyone else but Chris Jericho, and it just really took from it. So I didn't really have much or care for it, to be honest.
I'll tell you a couple of things just to add. A couple of comments to this matchup. What a great 2023 for Big Bill, who weirdly, for such a big man, has gone under the radar. Like, when he left Impact as W. Morrissey at the start of the year, wherever it was, I did not think he would be a champion in AEW. And also, Darby is part crash test dummy. I hear he gets that from his dad's side. Anyway, so we're going to rate this out of 5. And Monty, start with you. What are you going to give it?
My low rating. If I wanted, if you could individually rate like by the people in the match, we all know probably what this would be. But just for everyone in the match trying to make something out of nothing, I do have to give it maybe 3.5. But then again, the way it felt and like the entire energy around it was less than that.
So I shouldn't have Jericho as my MVP. Right, I'll take that off. Gina, what would you score out of 5?
I mean, to be honest, I feel like the heels should have won this match, but because Sting was in it, I knew ultimately they weren't going to. So I'm glad I went with who I did go with, but I will ultimately give this just a 4. I don't like my man taking the pin, even though he probably was the best to take it. I still don't like it. So 4 will be fine.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm trying not to, again, I agree. We shouldn't really try and take this away from the other wrestlers that were involved in this match. Like, again, I felt really gutted for Takeshita or Hobbs getting a loss here. I'm glad neither of them was pinned, but both of them have had a pretty good end to 2023. So yeah, I just didn't want this to take away from them. I'm going to give it a 3.5 overall, I think.
Yeah, I'll go with 3.5 as well. Predictions, we all went Sting, so it means James and Monty on 6, Gina's on 5, Jackson on 4. TBS Championship next, Julia Hart versus Abaddon. House rules, which meant Abaddon could add the stipulation which allowed biting. The match was focused on telling a story more than fitting as many spots in as possible. Both competitors did a good job playing to their characters' strengths. Sky Blue showed up and knocked Abaddon from the top rope, but it didn't have the desired effect. She pulled her out from under the ring and started beating her up. The distraction allowed Hartlow to score the win with the moonsault. Gina, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of did what it needed to, again, with this match. I've definitely enjoyed this storyline a lot more, and I'm enjoying to see like more come for the women. But again, at this point I was still like ready to move on. I think I was a bit tired at this point in the match cards to even really be that much invested that much into it anymore. So
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see Abaddon given the chance, though, and the crowd chanting, "This is spooky," for the action getting to go was pretty cool. And weirdly enough, the
yeah,
0
for
hour
sure,
match.
especially because they've built Abaddon up over the past few weeks, so it was nice to see her as a more frequent wrestler leading up to this match. But again, I don't think anyone really saw Julia losing it that quickly to Abaddon.
Yeah, and not to moan too much, but the 0 hour match was the longest of the 3 women's matches, and only the hook match was shorter than the women's matches. So again, there's still work to do when it comes to kind of certain things. I still didn't mind it, though. I think Hart's a good character. Monty, again, Abaddon is another one who he's popped up, given a chance, and then will disappear for another 6 months.
And that's part of the issue. The issue with this match was not only, you could do a monthly pay-per-view or something every month, or you could put a new championship belt title match on the line if you at least include someone who we either believe is believable. So if she's gone away, let's say a Britt Baker who hasn't been around, but believe Britt Baker is always going to feel like she's a believable championship contender. And no offense to Abaddon, because I know it's not her fault. She just, like you said, just hasn't been there. So you're either going to give it to something believable, or you have to give it to someone that may be debuting or something like that. And I think, Abaddon was neither. So the threat of her actually winning this was definitely not there. But I do think, like you mentioned, that they did the best that they could. And the timing, I'm 100% there with that. The timing was not the best. It felt way too similar, especially with the finish to what Tony and what Tony had, even though it wasn't like a direct distraction from a legit ally at the time type of deal, but it was literally very similar to what they did earlier with Tony Storm. And the moonsault wasn't the prettiest, even though again, I'm not here to criticize like that because I can't do a damn moonsault. So hey, do your thing. But what I will say is about this is that this is another one of those. These two were also victims because again, when you're in a spot and you're following a match that just seeks the energy or reminds people about something very, very bad underneath the surface of something that they love when it comes to wrestling or AEW, it's kind of tough. It's really tough to get them going again immediately, and you're having to be the buffer between that mess with Jericho and then the TNT title. So they were in a tough spot, and I think this is also part of what we're talking about. It's not just having 3 women's matches, but having them not only mean something, but have places on the card to where they do not feel like either they have to follow something spectacular or they have to pick up the slack for something that killed the vibes of the show.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I will say the crowd did wake up for this one, but we'll get scores for this. Gina, what would you score this out of 5?
I'll give it a 3.5.
3.5. Monty?
Same score, 3.5.
And Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this and your score?
Again, I feel like you guys really touched on some like decent points at this point with both women. I'm going to give it a 3.5 myself. I enjoyed seeing Abaddon, be given a bit more of a shine by getting this chance at Julia Hart. And the one thing I will say is that I really loved that both of their characters are different kinds of spooky or freaky or weird, you know? So it was great to see two women of unconventional characters really be given like the limelight and be given a shot to kind of showcase what they can do. So I liked the eeriness of it, especially at the beginning. They both were kind of like playing up to that sort of freaky vibe. You have to appreciate that. But again, I just feel like it didn't really feel like there was enough storyline for a full involvement into believing that Abaddon could actually take this. I also felt like, you know, we were going to see some form of Sky Blue turn up as well. So it was kind of predictable, but in a way for Julia, another great defense on her side, you know. So I think 3.5 is a pretty decent score to give it.
Predictions, we all went hard. So James and Monty on 7, Gina's on 6, Jaxie on 5, Nigel's back on commentary, more on that in a bit. Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland for the TNT title. Copeland wore the same gear he wore during his hardcore match against Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22. Rated R Superstar attacked Cage during his entrance and sent the Wayne family running for cover. Copeland yelling at Nigel on commentary was hilarious. I mean, Monty, you know how much I love Nigel McGuinness, but you know it's great. Like, you know, all I can say is it adds to it when you're a good commentator. You can see the smile from Copeland after he hit a crossbody from a race section as well, so it looked good. But this wasn't a wrestling match; it was a fight. They weren't going for a hip toss or headlocks. It's all about inflicting as much pain as possible. Cage even stomped Copeland's head into the steel steps and busted him open at one point. Nick and his mum got involved at certain points, especially when Cage asked for weapons under the ring. Ladders, tables and chairs, kendo sticks, and even a random metal rod were used throughout this match. Crowd wanted fire when Cage delivered when he set a table ablaze, but Copeland had it to relit it before he powerbombed Nick onto it. He hit Cage with his own finisher to end the match and become the new TNT champion, but Killswitch showed up behind Copeland as he celebrated and attacked him. Cage convinced him to give the title shot so he could redeem it instead. Bell rang. Cage hit a spear to regain his TNT title. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
Again, this is what we meant by saying that the 20-man battle royale was just kind of pointless, you know. I mean, at this point, I'm confused. Do we all get a point here? Can we just like confirm this? Because like technically, Adam Copeland won, but like Adam Copeland just beat Wardlow in the shortest TNT title run possible. Do you know that he just made history with that?
Yes.
Like Adam Copeland, the shortest run. Like, yes, that is exactly what I thought Adam Copeland was coming to do in AEW towards the end of 2023. He wanted to make the record for the shortest TNT run. I don't really know what they kind of wanted to do with this. Personally, at this point, I kind of thought to myself, will we actually only see the TNT title come off of Christian Cage if Jack Perry returns and actually kicks his ass and takes the belt and wakes Killswitch up and reminds him as to who he actually is, you know? Like, I don't know what to do at this point to get the belt off of Christian, because Christian is using everything in his power and managing to do it. I don't even know how he's managed to get Killswitch this obedient.
He's got
to hand over a
he's got something, hasn't he? He's got
yeah, he's definitely got something on him. Maybe when he was Luchasaurus, like Christian got a picture of him with a unicorn or something. Now he's holding it against him, you know?
Yeah, maybe he's a fan of like Brooks Jensen or something, you know? I always wondered if someone could cash in, Money in the Bank contract. Like, what about if they could cash in after they lost the title. And then I realised if it did happen like this, it would be shit. So we don't worry about it. And like you said,
I mean, like, I just laughed throughout that whole interaction. Like, at first, of course, me going with Adam Copeland, I was excited seeing that he actually picked up the win. I was like, yes, see Killswitch's music hit. And I'm like, I really don't know how to actually react. I think I sat there in silence when I watched all of that happen because I was like, what was the whole point of this match?
Well, it's weird to think this is Adam's first title since relinquishing the world title in 2011, and he held it for what, like I said, 2.5 minutes. If even that.
I
think the match though, and Gina,
the
I don't
match
know about
was
you.
good.
Yeah, I thought like the match was good. Playing with fire is always dangerous, but I still thought it was quite a good
again.
game.
I just to quickly add before you get Gina's thoughts, I just felt like as soon as they got in the ring, it felt like they have not actually been apart this whole time. They picked up well from one another. There's so much chemistry between them that you just couldn't help but feel like nostalgia was hitting you every other second. So that aspect and that element of it really worked well. It was the ending for me that is just
the wacky, crazy finishes.
Baffled.
Yes. Like, that's the issue.
That's what TK wanted for this pay-per-view. Floppy finishes or weird ass ones.
This shouldn't be called Worlds End. This should be called Sloppy Finishes. That would be the pay-per-view next year.
That sounds like a totally different event.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I've watched Sloppy Finishes. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what year. Anyway, Gina, the match, as we talk about, the chemistry, as Jaxie said, is great. It's just like we said, these crazy Looney Tunes-esque endings.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a really good match, and I didn't know who was going to get the win because it was so back and forth, And again, we knew tomfoolery was coming. This is Christian Cage, for Christ's sake. We knew it was coming. But to see Edge get that win, I was super happy. And just like my sister said, I was silent when I heard Killswitch just come out and just see him relinquish that contract. And back at the earlier part of this show when I said, when is that breaking point, part of me thought, is this going to be that breaking point where Luchasaurus is going to say, no, this is my contract? But no, he rolled over like a good little dog. So yeah, it's just a sloppy finish.
So anyway, scores. Jaxie, what would you score this out of 5? Match and maybe finish as well. It's got to be included.
So yeah, this is going to be kind of like a controversial match point because of the way that I talked was quite negatively. But yeah, towards the end I was talking about the actual match, and the match itself was really good. Like, I have to give it at least like a 4 3/4 because everything Adam Copeland and Christian did in the match itself was entertaining. I couldn't stop watching them. They were back and forth, and they both still had it. I really enjoyed this up until the finish. So I'm going to give it a 4 3/4 because I really did enjoy it until then.
Gina?
Yeah, I got a 4.5 for this match. It was so good, and it was great to see the reunion of Christian and Adam Copeland, but also just seeing them work together like this. They both bounced off each other so well, so 4.5 is good enough for me.
Monty?
Yeah, I remember initially, I think it was 2001, 2002, when Adam and Christian originally broke up as a tag team. I remember them having an awesome-ass ladder match that for a while was one of my favorite matches between former partners type of deal where it was one-on-one, because usually those things, they don't necessarily always work out and they don't always be good. I remember Matt and Jeff they've tried to feud plenty of times and it's never really been the best stuff, but this was really, really good. Probably the best match they've ever had between each other. The wrestling was spectacular. This was the perfect this picked up everything. I was back into the show. Like, okay, now this is what you expect from an AEW pay-per-view. And I also want to say that this is what I meant when I meant that you kind of get two AEWs when you watch AEW sometimes. And I think that this is a perfect personification of it. You get incredible in-ring work and sometimes you get great psychology between the workers and stuff like that. And then you get the booking or the finish where it's just like, or the thing after the original the original match, and you're just like, what the hell? That's the problem. That's the thing. It's a roller coaster ride sometimes with AEW, and I think that's part of it. It's like you get this fantastic moment, they hit it out the park, and then right after they come right back into it and they do something where you're just scratching your head, and that's just, you never want to leave a situation like that after a match like that. You never want to leave a fantastic match at the end like, okay, what was I watching? And I know we're waiting on Luchasaurus for the breaking point, but honestly, I might be the only person that won't care when he finally kills Christian, because no one has been holding the gun to this big ass dude's head this entire time. He's just enthralled by Christian's words or whatever, like you said, or some dirt that we don't know about. That's the only way you can save Luchasaurus, if you ask me, is if you tell me they had some type of dirt where Christian is locked up a dinosaur colony under his house or something.
Yeah, there's some shit going on. No, we don't.
4.5 though is my score.
4.5, yeah. So, I'm going to give it 4 3/4. Like I said, really, really good stuff. Predictions: we want Copeland, so it means James and Monty on 8, Gene on 7, Jaxie on 6. The Continental Championship was next. Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. Danielson and Taz provided some great commentary during the match and about what kind of fight each competitor is and how to use their strength to the advantage. There's nothing pretty about it. They used plenty of traditional wrestling maneuvers, but the way they did them was dirty and violent in the best possible way. After a brutal exchange of stiff strikes, the Mad King defeated Moxley with a spinning back fist to get the win and become the first modern Triple Crown champion. He celebrated with all 3 belts as the crowd gave him a standing ovation. Kingston accomplished all of his goals in 2023, and it was an incredible ride. Moxley embraced his friend before leaving him to celebrate. Monty might have took time, but we got there. Along with 3 belts,
finally, right?
We beat all 3 Blackpool Combat Club members. Then we get out.
Sweet, man. Sweet. Yeah, this is the one thing, and I want to go ahead and get this out the way because I know you're going to talk about it, but as far as predictions go, I knew I was fucked when I saw Eddie Kingston's different interpretation of his gear. I was like, no fucking way. Eddie got something different on? Like, different, I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm screwed. But, man, how happy was I to be screwed, because it was just, not only was it the right thing to do, it was just a fantastic match. You kind of summarized it quickly there, and I think, it doesn't need I just think that's one of the situations where I'm like, you know what? This made it worth it almost by itself. As bad as the initial part of this show was, I think from the Adam match on to this, and then what happened after this, as far as wrestling goes, was really, really good. It really saved this show and made you feel like, okay, now I see why this show happened. Okay, it's not a complete waste of my damn money and time. But yeah, man, this is special, man. Special stuff, and you're 100% right. I'm happy they finally pulled the trigger and realized what they have here with Eddie Kingston, rewarded him with a great victory, and it was a perfect type of match with the perfect opponent being Moxley, a friend of his, someone who could fight his style just the way he fights that style. It was just really, really good stuff, and I just came away from this very, very happy, and I think this is what you want. You want more of this, even with the hug with Moxley after that. That's the type of way you tell a story. And you pinpoint it, like I mentioned with the Continental Classic this entire time being a highlight of AEW. They capped it off perfectly right there with the right winner, and they did it the right way. So, yeah, man, hats off to AEW, hats off to Eddie Kingston for, doing it, man. Again, I can't think of anyone more deserving. He's been on an unbelievable roll, probably before he went to the G1, but I know that he catapulting off the G1 success that he had, leading into everything that he did here in the C2 and beating Claudio earlier this year. This was just a beautiful way for things to come full circle for him.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, really, really good stuff all round. And Monty pointed it out, but Jaxie, I'll ask you, there's an argument to say that the Continental Classic and Eddie's journey is the best thing AEW's done all year, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be one to sort of argue that case. I've been completely invested in Eddie, and sort of just seeing a lot of like his ups and downs throughout AEW. When it comes to not only just wins, but also sort of like the breaking of friendships and the building of new ones and the breaking of those two. He's kind of been through the ringer, So for this to finally pay off for him, like this was a story really well told, and this was one that was built up across years. So this is something that AEW has really gotten right. All the way through the Continental Classic, he, along with the likes of Daniel Garcia, he really was the underdog. He came into this with 2 losses straight up after just openly putting both his titles on the line for this tournament as well. And that's a pretty bold move to make, to then go ahead and lose 2. So, whether or not you as the fan or Eddie himself started losing faith in him after those 2 losses, it was just a beautiful Cinderella story. Just to actually see him pick up, as you said, James, win after win against the Blackpool Combat Club, and like that final obstacle being Jon Moxley. It made sense that it was Jon Moxley that picked up the win against within his triple threat. As much as I would have loved to have seen this belt go on to Swerve, this story was all ultimately about Eddie, and I think they told it very well, and this is something AEW actually got right. I really enjoyed this match. The chemistry with those two, is great anyway. Whether or not they're in ring or out ring, they've got great chemistry being friends. And from beginning to finish, this was a slobber knocker, and it was like done in such a good way. Like you could tell that both Eddie and John put their all into this match, and like you could feel it, like the emotions were there, and it was just brilliant. Really well done.
Yeah, really, really good. Gina, it's just a shame that it followed the no DQ match, because, and especially with the card that we've had with this match and the last one, it's really good stuff, but it's just been bogged down in the incorrect place as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It definitely was a match that you wanted to give a lot of energy to, but a lot of people gave energy to the match previously, and so much happened in the match previously. It was probably a lot for the crowd who were actually there to take on right after that. But it was still a great match. I still enjoyed it, and I felt just the same as Monty and my sister. I felt like it was a Cinderella story, and I was happy for Eddie, but I also thought it was just a brilliant match between the two of them. And I expected them to put on a great match because they're 2 great veteran wrestlers.
Yeah, I think without doubt. So scores then, Monty, what would you give out of 5?
Yeah, this is my type of shit, man. And I don't know if it's just because it's the round robin tournament final type of deal, so it gives me G1 feels. But yeah, man, I was really into it. I gave it 4.5.
4.5. Jaxie?
I gave this a 4 3/4.
4 3/4. And Gina?
I gave it 4.5.
4.5. Yeah, I gave it 4 3/4. Predictions, you went Eddie, apart from Monty. So it means that James is on 9, Gina and Monty on 8, Jaxie on 7. As we head to the main event, MJF versus Mojo for the AEW Championship. Special video played with several Long Island residents talking positive about MJF before he made his way to the ring in the flashiest robe he'd ever worn. A few moments later, he shocked the crowd by bringing out Adam Cole. Despite Long Island being MJF's home turf, Joe did receive quite a few chants. MJF had a huge smile on his face as the crowd chanted, "He's our scumbag." Max tried to stay confident, but Joe immediately began targeting his injured shoulder. The majority of this match was comprised of long sequences when Joe was in control, followed by short comebacks by the champ. Joe kicking MJF in the face. He tried to get himself back over the top rope. Was a hilarious spot. And the muscle buster Joe hit on the apron looked nasty. The very reverse and armbar was beautiful. MJF was able to win with his signature pile driver. And Joe reversed his trademark armbar. It seemed like anything MJF tried, Joe had an answer. When MJF asked for his ring, Cole took long trying to find it, and it allowed Joe to lock in a rear naked choke. Much to the surprise of everyone, me included, this is how the match ended. Referee checked on match. And I said this, right, and again, I don't want to bring up Drew McIntyre again, but when he lost to Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, his arm only got checked once, all right? WrestleMania 37 it was. 3 checks on the arm now. I'm just saying, bit of consistency, you know? Anyway, your new AEW champion was Samoa Joe. The crowd was shocked and didn't really know what was going to go on. Adam Cole tried to comfort Max after Joe was gone. Crowd chanted bullshit until the Devil's Masked Men showed up. They attacked Max and held Cole, so he had to watch. Cole and MJF both begged to be hit instead of the other, and then the lights dropped. They came back on to reveal Cole sitting on a chair looking at Max, while Wardlow, Roderick Strong, and the Kingdom unmasked behind him. MJF looked heartbroken and asked how Cole could do this before everyone attacked. The show ended with Cole and his crew standing tall. Wow, so a lot to talk about there. Gina, I'll start with you and just the match, because I thought it was quite a fun match, even though MJF was really banged up, but Joe was really motivated.
Yeah, I mean, the match itself was just great. It was so spot on. Joe just showed us all why he's still hot and why he's still got it, and he deserves this, you know. He just put so much into not just his character, but the wrestling work he puts in, putting other people over. The match was great because he did make MJF look great in some spots, but he also crushed him horribly. He just battered MJF, really, which is what I kind of wanted Joe to do. You know, I think he had to come into this match and he had to look so dominant that, you know, he was ragging MJF around, and I think that's what he overall brought out. So it was a great match between them both, and I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I like the call back to not being able to find the ring, much like Wardlow did to MJF, and I think, and I don't know about you, Jaxie, but this might be the most shocked the crowd has been at result, apart from maybe a Jeff Jarrett victory, you know.
Yeah, no, again, I think even I was shocked at this, and I think I kind of like had sort of like called this in my mind when I was thinking about, like, you know, who to choose as the ultimate winner of this match. I think when it came to the callback of, you know, Adam Cole fumbling for the ring, I think it was then for me that I genuinely thought, yeah, okay, he is the devil. So I think that sort of like callback actually ended up sort of already outing him as the devil, in my opinion. I thought the match was really good. Again, I felt like Joe looked so strong, so dominant, and we needed that from Joe. Like, what really would have been the plans for Joe if he had not won, considering the fact that he had just done a really great Ring of Honor TV championship run and then relinquished it? If he did not win this title, it really was not going to look good, like a good year coming up for him, you know? So, like, I'm glad that he won this, because, like, he deserves, like, this championship. WWE never actually have this faith in him, and they are completely, like, beside themselves right now, thinking to themselves, we were sitting on gold this whole fucking time, you know? And I hope that they actually think that. I really do, because Joe is great.
Yeah, no, they're probably not. But
No,
again,
they're probably
it's
not,
weird that there is two Samoans called Joe who are world champions.
Damn, I would have done this. Triple H probably is thinking, I would have done this if I was in control at that time, you know?
Well, revision his history too. He got hurt a couple times in WWE.
That's not.
So, like, one time he was literally
the thing is,
champion. He got hurt.
Yeah,
no, true. It is true.
He went from. Let's credit Joe, his reinvention this past couple of years. That's what I just want to say. Oh, Joe's been great and fully deserves this, because a lot of people, whether it be Keith Lee or Andrade or Malachi Black or whatever it is, you know, who've gone to AEW and maybe it's not worked out. And Joe, again, I think Wardlow should be in this spot. But again, that's more about Tony K's book than anything else. But Joe's done this, and he's gone from commentary in the Rain Mac at WrestleMania to world champion. So, you know, credit to Joe there. But
You are right, and I don't want to say that. I'm just saying it more. I think the
Oh
point
yeah,
I'm
no, I
trying to
know it's
make
silly.
is
It's just yeah.
from Triple H now being in control. I bet you he's thinking to himself, "Damn, like, if it was me in control at that point and not Vince, like I could have done so much with Joe, or potentially could have done more." But yeah, this is Joe's time now, and I think that this move for him it was a great choice to make. Ultimately, when it comes to the whole devil thing, I've seen mixed opinions about Adam Cole being the devil. I know that there was like a lot of conspiracy behind other people potentially being the devil. Um, I actually do not mind that it turned out to be Adam Cole. First of all, we've seen that he is very much synonymous, like Kevin Owens was turning on his friends. So this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, really. But also, I feel like we may have been disappointed if like the outcome wasn't actually that it was Adam Cole this whole time. Like, there really was no reason as to why Adam Cole struck up this friendship with MJF in the first place after losing at All in the first place. So I just felt like this really did need to be him. So even though I knew it was going to be him after the ring sort of section, I wasn't disappointed. I'm hoping that we're going to get like a really good sort of story come out of it that will build up to a great match once Adam Cole is actually better, between both MJF and Adam Cole. Um, but ultimately, yeah, I'm not one of those people that probably is disappointed like I've seen online. I think that this actually makes the most sense to actually make Adam Cole the devil here.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I didn't mind the reveal, but I don't know about you, Monty. But I would have popped if it was Fish and O'Reilly with Adam Cole and Wardlow. I'd been like, yeah, that is the undisputed era.
No, I hold that thought about O'Reilly because depending on his injury status, I think he still is a great candidate to be in it, or at least something will be going on with him in this group. I think at some point, it just seems like too much of a no-brainer if he's going to be able to come back from his injuries. But uh, yeah, I'm with you on that as far as like the thing. The only thing I will push back on as far as it being Adam Cole, the only other person that would have made more sense with, he's actually in the group, and it would have been like you just said, Wardlow, like actually being the devil. But he did show up with the MJF tape and just kind of made it obvious at one point that he was going after MJF. So maybe that would have been a little too on the nose for people. But yeah, the Adam Cole stuff makes sense, and I think that's the thing about it. Since it makes perfect sense, I will not complain at all because the only thing I will say is the whole dealing with Joe. You would think he would try to get the belt in the group by like you said, letting Wardlow get this spot instead of just letting it go to Joe. But I guess maybe in his mind, we get rid of Max. Max deserves this. He's a piece of trash. We'll get Joe down the line, I guess. But I just felt like Joe won in this deal easily. like
yes.
he comes away as the biggest winner altogether. Like not only did he outsmart Max, he outsmarted the group too, in my opinion, because he walks away with the championship and he's pretty much unscathed after working with the devil. Now, of course, just like in whatever fiction or whatever story you've ever read with dealing with the devil, that's probably going to come back to bite Joe. And I think we're probably just going to have to see how that plays out if they know what they're doing. But Joe, like you guys mentioned, Joe definitely deserves this. Like, honestly, Joe has never had, and this whole AEW has a chance to do something that Joe has never really had the benefit of doing. Because even in Impact, the place where he kind of made his name and became who I know, like again, one of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Samoa Joe. He was never treated with the respect that he deserved when he was the TNA champion back in those days. So for him to be at this stage now and to possibly be the world champion and go into the new year on top of AEW with challenging anyone to a fight, because we know that's Joe's whole thing. Who's like he's just an unbelievable talent, and I love the fact that he's going to be waiting to just take out anybody who wants to come at him. So he's just so badass, and I love Joe. I always have. So I think this is incredible for him. Never would have a problem with Samoa Joe being on top. But yeah, like with Max's injuries too, I come to find out his shoulder thing is more serious than people thought. So, now it makes even more sense. I thought since he was at home and he had been beating the odds so much in this reign, he would figure it out. But the Adam Cole thing and the way they did it, it was all fine and dandy. Like, again, I understand people may have wanted more of a shock or may have wanted it done differently. But honestly, I can't complain because if you look at it and pay attention, the answer was right in front of your face the entire time. So I can't be mad. I actually would give them props. Like some people hated that it was Adam Cole because it's kind of obvious. I'll give them props for having it be obvious, but they had people on the edge of their seats wondering who was the devil for months, even though the answer was in their face from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted it to be Chris Jericho, but, or Ric Flair. Gina, what are your thoughts on the
Or Jeff Jarrett.
Or Jeff Jarrett, I don't mind. Jay Lethal. One of the big talents.
I mean, I don't have a problem with this. I kind of figured that it would make sense for it to be Adam Cole anyway. So I think if it was anyone else aside from MJF himself, I think that would have been probably more off-putting to me because the signs weren't obvious. So I think it pays off, and it obviously keeps Adam Cole still live within the storylines right now, even though he's injured. So it's a good angle to put on him, even if that wasn't the original plan. But it's working for me, and I like Adam Cole as a heel. I prefer him as a heel, if I'm truly honest. He's such a nice person. Like, he's an unbelievably nice person in real life, and that's why I think I enjoy his heel persona so much, because it's just is a great character, and I think he plays it well. So I think the storyline will pay off. It will help, and I think Joe's going to continue to smash it because he definitely deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, you say Adam Cole's a nice person, but I've seen him turn on so many people now. It's unbelievable. Scores out of 5
on Twitch. Nice person.
Well, I'm a mark, so what do I know? So, Gina, what would you score the main event out of 5?
Yeah, that match was great for me. I'll give it 4 3/4.
4 3/4. Monty?
Yeah, 4.5 is where I marked it in. I just kind of gave all the last 3 matches 4.5. I thought they all were really, really good, and I think they really picked up this show from where it was. And kudos to Max, man. Hell of a run. Never thought he would be as big as he was as a babyface champion, but he was one of the highlights of this show for a pretty up and down 2023 when it comes to AEW. And so I have to give him love. And I also want to say that if the bidding war is even still a real thing, if he hasn't already signed back to AEW, man, run it up, Max, because I think your reign can definitely give you some leverage in the bargaining room, man, because I think he showed some range that he could be not only just that pouty mouth, heat-inducing heel that he was in his initial run, but this time he showed that he can carry as a babyface champion too. So I just want to give Max some love there. But yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, that doubt. Excellent point. Jaxie?
I have to agree with Monty on that statement, because I think if you go back to probably this time last year, I'm pretty sure at some point on the pod I've actually said that Max never needs to be a face, or he never would be a face, because he's too good as a heel. And I have to take my words back, because that run, that title run he's had, he's predominantly been face and loved by the crowd. So I agree wholeheartedly with Monty on that. I've gone 4 3/4 on that. I think I've gone 4 3/4 on the last 3 matches. But again, just like Monty, I feel like all of them were at the same caliber, at the same level. And the last 3 matches really just blew it out of the park.
Yeah, I went 4.5. Predictions. Fucking Gina. The fucking Gina again. Makes me sick. Well, Monty and I went MJF.
Can we not? Why did you just say? Why the hell did you actually put so much emphasis on just Gina saying Joe? I said Joe too.
Yes, you both went Joe, but it means final scores. Jaxie, you ended on 8
Gina
with Monty,
won,
and Gina fucking won with me. So we both got the win in a point.
sake!
Yeah, Gina won again. Witch,
For fuck's
burn
sake,
her.
Gina!
That's what I do.
Yeah,
Yay.
fuck's sake! I needed this win, sis.
Gina has won the last NXT, AEW, and WWE pay-per-views. Hey, is there anything she can't
Fucking
do?
hell. Well, wait.
Well, that's
Wait
not
till we get to
right there.
wait till we get to Wrestle Kingdom, yeah, James, because we don't even know what happened there, and that will be the nail in the coffin if that's the case. So let's not go
I
there.
don't know. I don't even want to know.
I will
I'm sick of
sulk
it.
completely. I like
think
my
it's
sister
a
winning, but
terrible
I will
idea.
sulk.
No, Jackson,
Yeah.
I think it's a terrible idea getting Gina involved in this podcast. You know, I'm
Why do
going
we
to say it
even
now.
think this is a good idea?
No, we both made a
No,
mistake.
sis, don't talk to me. Sis, don't talk to me. You're me. No,
They're
no, sis, we're on a
me.
timeout. We're on a timeout, sis.
So yes,
Good
final
shit,
scores.
Gina.
They just
So
can't help but, try and pour the light out of my shine here.
Well, it means
Don't hate,
AEW
congratulate.
Yes, well, AEW League End final. Well, remember what you've just said, all right? Because the AEW League End final now means Monty ends with 3, Jaxie Gina 4, and your winner of the AEW Prediction League, you love to see it, it is me on 5 points. So there you go. Where's
James?
Oh,
Absolutely.
well, hang on a minute. Where's the congratulations?
So you literally no, I'm not giving you a congratulations.
they
You stole
did.
that win from me. You stole that win from me. The AEW was mine, and you just had to come and steal my thunder. I can't believe
At Full
you.
Gear,
Good shit,
you were in the
James.
lead. How the fuck did that happen, eh?
I don't even know. I feel like, guys, I was cheated out of this win. I was definitely cheated. There's a conspiracy here against me.
I'm never
I
expecting
think-
me and James to win
Was slipping
AEW, so
in.
congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I won the one I liked the least. Let's admit it.
I need to contact Sami Zayn.
For
There's a
himself.
conspiracy. There's this conspiracy here against me, and I think Sami Zayn would actually get to the bottom of this. I need this. Can someone get me in touch with Sami Zayn, please?
Yeah. So the points means Gina gets an extra point. I get an extra 3. So overall, at the moment, Jaxie's still on 21, Gina on 32, Monty on 34, I'm on 37. But we've still got 18 points on the line to come. Back to the pay-per-view. Of course, match and MVP. We'll start with Jaxie. We'll start with you. What are you going to... all 3. Go on, give me all 3. Give me your match, which is going to be out of the last 3 matches.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'm gonna say my match of the night was Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. I really just enjoyed it. It was a brawl. So I'm gonna go with that for my match of the night. I'm giving Joe my MVP.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you.
And do you want my score now?
No,
Okay,
I'll come
cool.
back. Go on. Well, Gina, match and MVP, please.
I think I'm going to go Joe and MJF for match of the night. MVP. Oh, it's difficult. I want to give it to either Adam Copeland or Christian because the match that they gave was great. They both deserve it, but I don't know which one I want to give it to more. I'll give it to Adam Copeland because I like him better.
And Monty, your match of the night, I do believe, is Copeland. What's your MVP, though?
No. I gave them all 4.5. So my match is Eddie and the crew.
Ah, right, there you go.
Yeah, Eddie and the crew. And my MVP is Eddie Kingston.
All right, cool. No, sorry, yeah, I'm looking at mine. I've gone Copeland as my match of the night. My MVP is Garcia. Like I said, really started the show well. So, Jaxie, what's your score out of 10?
Okay. I mean, when you look at it kind of overall, I was trying to take my time when thinking about the score for this. It seems worse than what it is, but I'm gonna give it a 7.5 overall, and I think that's in terms of sloppy finishes, and just baffling decisions. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5 overall. I'm sorry.
7.5. Gina, what about you?
Yeah, for me, there weren't that many matches that I felt needed to be on this match card on this pay-per-view, making it such a long event. So due to that, there were only like a few matches that I actually think were worth being on a pay-per-view event. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 7.
7. And Monty, to finish off the year on the WNR podcast rating-wise.
Yeah, weakest AEW pay-per-view of the year. Before those last 3 matches, it was probably going to get one of the worst ratings I've ever given a full show. Like it was just rough. It was a slog to get through. But yeah, 7 is really fair. That's where I'll stay. I'll stop at a 7. But I do think if the crazy thing is, it's such a long ass card. But like the last 3 is really the only unforgettable thing that you can have here. And so yeah, last 3 matches that's pretty tough when you go on like a 10 match card or something, a 10 plus match card. So yeah,
it's even like reviewing it, and again, we love doing this and that, but it's even like a lull as we do it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how long the match card. You can't keep up that excitement for that amount of time. But I did watch like the 2-hour press conference afterwards, which was great. And we all wanted to know about one question, basically. We did find out a couple other things. Samoa Joe, he's going to get a new belt design. Tony Storm, when asked what woman that she wants to be signed, she said there was a big free agent, Wendy Richter. When she did come out, Tony did put a hat and sunglasses on as well, and then got asked a question, of course, if how safe is AEW and if they've heard about Chris Jericho, and he said it's the safest place that's kind of ever been in the history of wrestling ever. The head of PR of AEW, Adam Hopkins, had to come and get the hat and glasses off Tony Khan after being asked serious questions about Jericho. Monty, is it fair to say at these moments Tony looks a bit out of his depth? Would that be fair? A bit wet behind the ears, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that if it's any indictment for Tony, I know a lot of people swear about Tony, say he's a good guy, love him for whatever reason I've heard plenty of listed reasons why people love Tony Khan. But I think that these moments when it's something like this going on, even if you go back to like the brawl out with CM Punk, yeah, you could try to give him the out that, this is the first time anything like that has ever really happened while you're trying to do a press conference. But, again, you saw the anger on Punk. You seen that, and he just kind of sat there, froze up. In the past, when talking about this particular situation in general, he seemed nervous. So then when he get here and he talk about this and he give us the line about this being the most safest ever, even though we literally a few months ago had a show where you had to open up and tell us that you felt completely unsafe for your life backstage at this show, at this very same company. It's just, come on, man, it's disingenuous. And he's someone that gets lauded by a lot of fans for being open and honest and different from every other, management type. And he just kind of seemed like almost any other management type. But you're 100% right. I think out of his depth is the perfect way to describe Tony Khan when it comes to these crisis type of management situations with AEW. He just seems like he don't want any parts of it, and I don't know, maybe that the hat and the shades, and now that I know a little bit more, maybe it was like a defense mechanism to make it more comfortable to answer those type of questions because he knew they were coming. He had to know it was coming. But yeah, no, I thought honestly you got to be more aware, and I just think, even if you can't talk about it because of legal situations, he could have gave more than he did, especially when those accusations kind of took over the entire first 2.5 hours of the show.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Jaxie, how do you think Tony handled it? I hear you are a woman, even though I never treated one. What's your perspective?
I have to kind of agree with what Monty said as well. Like, maybe it was a defense mechanism. I personally thought it was really stupid. But again, I did look on X / Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and kind of see that there was reference back to Vince doing something similar to like this. So you could even just kind of like see that as sort of him.
Still stupid, man.
Yeah. It was a stupid move, to be honest. But it again gets you actually talking about how stupid he looks rather than what he was answering and his answers. And they were pretty vague, as you rightly said it was. It's so contradictory considering like he's saying like at one point AEW is like the safest place ever, but then like wasn't it just a few months ago that he was like really worried about his life or risk of his life from CM Punk? So it was just really very much like, which Tony are we getting here?
Everything's fine now. Danielson's there. He'll just find you.
Yeah, sure, of course. I didn't realize Daniel sold everything.
So
yeah.
Sorry, is there anything else, or do you wanna?
No, that is pretty much my thoughts on the
I don't
situation.
want to be cutting off a woman asking a woman's fault about. You know what I mean? Like, I end up bullying.
Shut up, like you care.
Shut up and get to my locker room. Anyway, we get Dynamite notes. I'm sorry, so my bad. I apologise. I'm gonna have to give an apology statement next week, but that's next week. Dynamite notes. First one of the year, Adam Cole led the newly titled Undisputed Kingdom to the Squared Circle. Cole assigned Strong to target the International Championship. Yes, first, sorry, Monty, I should say, they got to add Undisputed to the front of it. Like, it could be anything, and they will do that. The Undisputed Judgment Day, the Undisputed Bloodline, any group that you want. And we know the championships that matter. The International Championship is the one Roddy Strong's going to go after. Not the TNT title or anything else shit like that.
Not TNT.
Taven and Bennett to continue defending the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. And Wardlow...
screw Ricky and them, I guess.
Yeah, and Wardlow to the AEW World Championship. Well, until Adam Cole is healed, at which point he expects him to hand it over. And even at that point, Wardlow's going, nah. And it's like... You're already turning on each other.
Already?
Like, the story's not even started. Like, come on. Anyway, Private Party returned. It's quite a different tag division from the last time they were there. Mariah May made her in-ring debut, beating Queen Aminata. She used to twerk to beat her opponents, but she's English, so I care now. Afterwards, Deanna Prazo arrived and confirmed she's all elite. The crowd need to learn the Virtuosa chant. She tried with you guys, but Diona is not the chant. All right, Virtuosa. You learn it. And the Virtuosa is one of the best on the planet. Maybe not the strongest promo, but honestly, brilliant. And they've paired May with Tony for the turn, which happens every time in AEW. Gina, do you ever wonder, do people get along, or do they just need to turn on each other? Like, be it tag teams, be it groups and stables or anything like that, it's always a turn.
I do wonder sometimes whether, somebody just walks through catering, sees two people sat down and think, I might chuck those two together, and see how they fare. So it doesn't. Sometimes there are some tag teams that you just think, like, when did this pairing come about? Is it just because they're friends behind stage, or have they never worked together and they've randomly been paired because they look good together?
It's like that. They're going to eventually beat the shit out of each other. So again, it doesn't matter. Like, it's 6-month reign.
Exactly.
If you're two single
too
stars,
invested, they'll break your heart.
Job done. And Swerve beat Garcia in the main event. So that is Dynamite and AEW for the year. It's been an interesting year, shall we say. Let's hope 2024 brings a lot more. But we've still got stuff to finish. So we're going to go back to who wins the year-end predictions. And it's anybody's game at the moment. Like I said, at the moment, Jax is on 21, Gina on 32, Monty on 34, James is on 37. But like I say, still 18 points on the line. So we are going to do our AEW champions for the end of the year. I hope everybody's got it in front of them. And this is going to be quite tight. But Jaxie, I'll let you know who I've gone for my world champion, and we can all go through it. So my AEW world champion for the end of the year is Ricky Starks which is not a point for each one, shall we say. Jackson, who have you gone for?
Ditto. I went Ricky Starks.
Oh. Gina, did you go Ricky Starks considering you're meant to be the fan and me and Jackson gone for him?
I mean, I have two written down. I have MJF or Ricky Starks.
Oh, I mean, it's cheating, but you did hit the post.
Yeah.
Wow.
Monty, please don't tell me you put Joe.
No, I don't. I didn't have that type of foresight. No way. I went with Max, and I don't think we're talking about AEW World Champion, right? So
yeah, man. But I mean, how close? That
yeah.
was
Now I'm regretting that decision to say let's count Worlds End.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucked.
Yeah.
Do you know what? An extra AEW show has fucked you and Jackson over. Like, how
Yeah,
great
I'm
is
fucking
that?
screwed. Yeah, awesome.
Honestly, fuck you, AEWs.
Once again, Tony Khan. Oh, aren't you my favorite?
Screwed both of us. And
Yeah, but like, why don't you watch AEW anymore? Yeah, well, they fucked us over, and you know, James won
screwed
because
us.
of it, so fuck them.
yeah, Tony screwed us. Blame Tony.
All right, women's champion then. Gina, who have you gone for AEW women's champion?
God, I went with Britt Baker.
Oh no, not bad. DMD. Monty.
Yeah, I'm aggravated myself, but I went with Saraya. I thought with her return, I just thought it was going to be a nice lengthy reign, but we see how that turned out.
Yeah, well, he did have a lengthy reign. It was like a month and a half. Like,
Come on, man.
Come on, AEW women's division. No, I went Saraya as well. Jaxie.
Yeah, I went DMD. Britt Baker.
Okay. Ooh, I thought this was like Tony Storm.
It's funny because I remember when
No, I didn't.
people used to complain about like Jaxie and Gina being similar, but me and Monty are more similar.
Well, yeah, right? Are we
Right?
twins?
It's weird.
Wow.
Maybe we are. I don't know. Maybe we are related, Monty. I've never checked. Like,
Never.
know.
Yeah, I have to check. I
Yeah.
have to ask some people. Yeah.
So, Monty, who's your TNT champion?
Yeah. Well, I thought I was safe because you guys. I heard you guys say AEW World for Ricky, and I was like, wow, I undersold him because I said TNT title.
Oh right.
But yeah, no, he's not. I wouldn't have guessed Christian. No. There we go.
No, I wouldn't either. Jaxie.
You went Ricky Starks for TNT. I went even sillier. I went Jack Perry.
Well, I don't think it's that silly.
It is. Where is he?
Well, I went for him, so I don't think it's that silly.
Okay, absolutely. See, so if anyone wants to complain that me and my sister always choose the same answer, it's like, look, me and James went both Ricky Starks and Jack Perry.
Yes,
Are you guys twins? No, just playing.
Again, we've not been tested.
In
well for that.
personality. In personality.
Yeah. Gina, what about you?
I had Ethan Page or Adam Cole.
Why you keep going two people? I mean, I'm sorry, I
I
don't mean to get angry.
don't know.
Yeah, but how is this allowed? If I knew I could make two choices, then I would have always put two choices. Sis, like, you're not special, so you're not allowed to put two choices.
Look, this is just what
Wow, not special.
for my choices, okay?
You're special to me, but like, you're not special in the sense that you get two choices.
I'm special. I have a crown, guys.
So, Gina starts off with TBS title.
Oh gosh, I went Jamie Hayter.
At least you didn't put two down. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, this is another one where it's just like, fuck you, Tony, because I feel like if she actually wrestled in AEW, she would be champion by now, but I went Athena.
No, that's understandable. Jaxie, what about you?
I feel exactly the same as Monty. However, I feel like this about Willow Nightingale. If she had been like,
Fuck
featured a lot more, Willow
you-
Nightingale could have.
Did you put Willow?
Yeah, I did. Don't tell me you put Willow.
So did I. So did I.
Queen Magic.
All our answers are the same. Spoiler alert, all our answers are the same.
Crazy. I get freaked out a little bit, but we'll be right. Right, Monty,
Yeah.
AEW Tag Team.
Oh, they just came back this year, so I really had big things for Private Party, man. I don't know why. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, there you go.
Right, Jaxie, what have you and I gone for?
So I went the Gun Club.
Oh, thank fuck for that. Right, no, I thought we went the same for a second.
Yeah.
Gina?
I went with the best friends, Trent and Chuck.
I went for the Young
we
Bucks.
were really optimistic.
Yeah, if
Look how far off we are in the tag.
if the year was booked,
Wow,
yeah,
oh
no,
gosh.
if the year was booked
Yeah.
with us, my God. I tell you something else as well. Trios title, I've gone for the JAS. So again, like I didn't think what they were going to do or what combination, but who knows? Gina, who's your trios champion?
This is no shock. House of Black.
House of Black. That's not a bad shout at all. Monty.
I don't even think they're a thing anymore because is Pac still hurt? I believe, but I went Death Triangle.
No, I mean, again, we can use these for next year, I suppose, and hopefully it might be a little bit better. Jaxie?
So I went House of Black too.
House of Black. So that is it for... Oh, no, one more title. We've got the All Atlantic. Is that a title? What title's that?
That's what it used to be.
Oh, it's a fucking international...
International, yeah.
Oh, my God, it's been a long year.
But like, when we were making these predictions, it was still the All Atlantic.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I was going, what the I've had a... What? I went Ethan Page, which, again, he's had one match in Canada this year, which is not great. Monty?
I don't know what the hell made me do this, but I went Jack Perry, so...
Jack Perry, yeah, all right. Gina?
I went with Rush.
Jaxie?
I went Swerve.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Swerve had a better year than he was booked. Which is
Yeah.
Right.
good. We then have the pay-per-view main events. So we've got a Revolution main event, AEW Revolution main event. So we'll start with Gina. Who do you say was going to be the main event?
For which one? Revolution?
Yes.
I had MJF versus Bryan Danielson.
Jeff versus Danielson. Monty, what did you pick?
Revolution. Yeah, I obviously thought it was going to be a big year for Jack, so I said MJF and Jack. Here.
All right. Jaxie?
I also said MJF and Danielson.
I also said MJF and Danielson, and the main event for Revolution was MJF versus Bryan Danielson in an Iron Man match. So a point there for everyone. Well, apart from Monty. But
Well, apart
you know
from
what I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to. You know, I don't want to kick a man when he's down, but anyway.
Hey, listen, I could do with a point.
AEW Double or Nothing main event. I went for MJF versus Adam Page. Monty?
Double or Nothing we talking about?
Yeah.
MJF and Darby Allin is what I put.
Gina?
I got Jamie Hayter versus Thunder Rosa.
Jaxie?
James, I put MJF and Hangman Page.
No, you fucking didn't.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
That's like, get out of my head. That's strange. So unfortunately, nobody with the point there. We then asked for all out main event. Gina, what was your all out main event?
MJF versus Claudio.
Jaxie?
I had Jamie Hayter versus Britt Baker.
Monty?
MJF and Hangman.
Fucking hell. So Lizzie went that as well, I suppose. I should say double or nothing, sorry. The last was a multi-man match with Blackpool Combat Club. And the main event for All Out was Moxley versus Orange Cassidy. I said it was going to be MJF versus Kenny Omega. And then finally, Full Gear main event. I went MJF versus Ricky Starks because I thought Ricky Starks was going to win the world title, obviously. Jaxie?
I put MJF versus Ricky Starks.
Fucking hell.
Wow, man.
I don't even know how we did this. Like, we have not talked about any of these. I just emailed my predictions to Jameson. No one knew this. So I don't even know how we've done this.
Yeah, like, even if you went guess each other's predictions, we wouldn't be able to get it as much as we have now.
Yep. For sure.
Monty?
I remember thinking when I wrote this down, there's no way they're going to get us away on free TV. And that's exactly what he fucking did. But I went back to Kenny Omega.
Gina?
I went MJF versus Ricky Starks.
Oh, same as...
No way, sis. You went with the same ones we did too.
So we've got
Yes,
more similar.
I kind of had MJF or Ricky for the world champion, so it makes sense that I chose him.
True, true.
So up next, we've got AEW Surprise Return. Jaxie, who was your surprise return?
Adam Cole, baby.
Fucking hell. My surprise return is Adam Cole. So, yeah, that's great.
Oh, no.
People think we just planned this. Monty, who's your surprise return?
Mind you, he was away at this time, and he did come back to them before he came back somewhere else. But I put CM Punk. So.
Oh, that's a nice. You can maybe even get 2 points out of that, but you won't. But you know what I mean.
I know. It's too close. You would never give me an extra point for that.
No, but that's actually a good call as well.
Gina?
I went with Adam Cole.
Hey, all got a point there, baby. That's good. And finally, AEW Surprise Wrestler leaving. Gina, start us off.
I shit you not, I put CM Punk.
Oh, that might even deserve 2. I mean, you won't, but you know, I'll give you a point.
I mean, that was good. That was a good call.
I'll take it.
Monty, what about you? That's fantastic, Gina. Well done, Monty.
Yeah, my point. I'm probably can put him down again this year. I'm not going to get the point for it because he's not gone yet. But I think he may not last in AEW. But hey, who knows? I put Miro because again, at the time he was sitting at home and he sat at home most of this year, so I thought it was justified.
Yeah, I went Wardlow, so maybe I just thought he'd get pissed off, you know, just go, but never did. Jaxie?
I kid you not. I went Andrade.
You didn't go Andrade.
I actually did. I went Andrade.
Hold up, technically he didn't
Yay.
leave yet. Though. Technically,
No.
Yeah, I think
No,
you find
he
yourself out
has.
of contract. So
Hey, listen. No, that's not fair. That is
what
so
do you
not
mean? He
fair.
finished the year with AEW.
Yes, and immediately after he posted straight after that, like a leaving saying bye, thank you everyone. So yeah, he might have performed, but he also left the same night.
You know, I'll give
Is
you
it Jackson?
I'll
This
give
is
you
Jackson,
that.
right? Or Gina? Which one? Which one is?
It's
Jackson,
Jaxie.
right? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
give her. Yeah, she can get all the points she wants. Yeah, who cares?
Wow.
I thought it was Gina. I thought it was Gina. I was like, no way. Don't give Gina anything. She's too close.
I'm glad Monty's one that ends it.
Wow.
The ultimate betrayal, guys. Everyone's turning on me.
Thanks for giving me the pity point, Monty. I really appreciate it.
Said you could use some points. Huh? I'm just looking out for you.
That's one of the
Okay,
funniest things. I
thanks.
might clip that and just replay it every 6 months.
We'll remember this for the end of next year and start
I know.
moaning when I want extra points at the end.
No,
I'll remember
Monty,
this.
yeah, I'm gonna remember this, Monty. I'll remember. Thanks for the pity point. I'll remember to pity you at some point.
Oh my word. Right, so at this moment, we're on the precipice of finding out who's going to win. The scores right now. Jaxie's on 24, Gina's on 34, Monty on 35, and James with 39. So a 4-point lead with 5 bonus predictions left. And what I'm going to do, because it make it more fun, is offer 2 points for a correct prediction. All right? So we've got 5 predictions, so there's 10 points still on the line. So, well, Jax, you can't win it, but just hold fire, all right? So we've each got 5 predictions, and again, we'll go round and ask. 2 points for a correct answer. I think that's fair enough. So, Jaxie, I'll start with you. What's your first bonus prediction?
I went with the Hurt Business will come back together.
In what way?
As in, like, I felt like Bobby Lashley. Yeah, I didn't get this point because I thought that Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander would get back together and reunite as the Hurt Business. Obviously, Bobby Lashley's moved on with the Street Profits. So, you know, as much as I really want to say, oh, yeah, that's who I meant. No, I put the Hurt Business will come back together and I meant the original Hurt Business. So.
Fair enough, fair enough. Monty, first prediction.
My first prediction was a no-brainer to me. I said Mercedes will be the IWG or will be New Japan's women's champion, and she did do that this year.
Ooh, so 2 points. Did I say 2? I meant a point. No. So 2 points there for Monty. So he's on 37 now. 2 points behind me. Gina, what's your first one?
Right. I'm definitely going to say I should get this point. I put Mercedes Moné will appear on AEW TV. I didn't say she will sign. I said she will appear on the TV. And she did appear on TV, AEW TV at All In.
No, I'll give you that. I'll give you that, yeah.
Good
I
job,
mean, yeah, that,
good job.
Is that Gina or Jaxie? Because I just want to make sure. Before,
That's Gina.
It doesn't matter, right?
That's definitely Gina.
It obviously matters.
It's definitely
Right.
G-site shit.
My first prediction, Stone Cold has another match. So no. I'll start off with the second one. Japanese wrestler wins AEW title. How about that one? No. That's fine. Jaxie, what's your second one?
We will get Kairi Sane versus Jamie Hayter at Forbidden Door 2.
Nice.
I mean,
Would've
at
been
the
nice.
time, at the time that I made this prediction, Kyrie was the current IWGP Women's Champion, and Jamie Hayter was the current Women's AEW Women's Champion. A girl can dream, okay? I had a dream, and it didn't pan out, okay?
Monty, what is yours? Second one.
Yeah, the second one again. I feel kind of good about this one, but I don't remember if it ever even happened. So it was unfortunate that it played out, but it just didn't work out. I don't think they even had a tag match before that, or anything. But anyway, I put Sami Zayn with pin Roman Reigns, and I don't think he did. They fought and he turned on him, but I don't think he ever pinned him. I don't even remember. Maybe they had a tag match and he pinned him, but I don't think so. I think the first time he pinned was Jay, right?
Solo that was pinned in that match.
Yeah,
it was Solo. See, I got screwed. Solo There you go.
I don't think so. Or to my recollection, I don't remember Sami ever pinning.
I was a little too specific.
Yeah.
Roman, if
you could have said Sami won a match.
Yes, Sami won a match in 2023, or Roman was pinned. I doubt anybody put that for 2024 prediction. Gina, what's your second one?
I put Solo Sikoa will win a belt this year. Sucks.
All right. So third bonus prediction. Gina, why don't you start us off?
Shida turns heel.
She didn't, did she? Again.
Yeah.
No, I don't think she did. They were alluding to it, but ultimately she stayed on the good side.
Monty?
Yeah.
Well, this one was another one that would have been nice. Actually, kind of happened, but they screwed it up because they kind of still together. So I said the bloodline as we know it will be ended this year, and that's as we know it. I guess can save me because as you know what I mean. I did worry the bloodline as we know it.
Yeah, as we know it, but
in December of last year, as we knew it, Jay and Sammy was in it. I'm just saying, but it is what it is. If you want to fight me on it, you can fight me on it.
Do you know what the problem is? It's the fact that like they like Jimmy, Solo, Paul Heyman.
If Jimmy didn't win back, I would take it.
The only issue is that the bloodline
I think they still reference themselves.
Right. They still go by the bloodline. That's the fucking problem.
Yeah.
Jaxie, what about you? What's your third one?
Oh gosh. I did Eddie and Ortiz will join House of Black.
Wow, you were smoking something special then.
I really was.
A bit like me, who put FTR to return to WWE. Maybe they were out. They told us though. They said they were out of contract. They lied to us. Bastards. All right, so 2 more to go, which 4 more points, and at the moment it is Gina on 36, Monty on 37, I'm on 39. Gina, what's next? Go on, full one.
I don't think this did happen at all. So, Carmelo Hayes will be called up to the main roster.
Not quite.
Yeah, Monty. I mean,
mighty close. Mighty close. Because he's not done. If he was done in NXT, I guess I would call it. But does that tournament? I don't think that tournament count. But it's
because
he was representing NXT in the tournament.
Yeah, he's representing NXT. Yeah. If it just said that he was in the tournament, then maybe we could have said that. But
or he would show up on SmackDown and Raw. Yeah. Right.
So Monty, what about you?
Yeah, mine. I was hoping I obviously was hoping business. Because I figured Punk would come back, but I was like, there's no way. If he's coming back, they're gonna make them do business, and they didn't. Obviously, his problems with the Elite ended up costing them. I said that the Elite and the Elite will fight against CM Punk and FTR at some point in AEW, and it obviously did not happen, but it should have happened. I wish egos were placed to the side.
Jaxie?
um, I put,
What if you're right or not?
I put Mandy Rose will return to WWE.
So, my one, and again we are tight, like 2 points difference. But I don't know if you remember Monty, that I had to apologise to Jackson and Gina because when we were at All In at Wembley, I kind of might have overreacted to a certain match. I mean, girls, you remember, didn't you? You know what match I'm talking about. It was the Sarai winning the AEW Women's Championship.
Yes.
And of course,
Yeah.
because I've put down Saraya wins the AEW Women's title in the UK. So I knew she was going to do it. And it's come and helped me on year-end predictions. Isn't that a double whammy for you guys? Ain't it great?
I think you're the only one who feels great about that, James.
Good times. Jaxie, what's your last one then?
A new belt will be introduced to AEW.
Ooh.
My one and
It's a
only
safe belt.
prediction
It's a safe
I
bet.
got right. It really
They
is.
introduce a new belt every few months.
Exactly. I went safe here, and I got at least 1 point.
Good job.
Cheers.
There we go.
Oh man, I
Your
didn't
fifth
think of that one.
final prediction, yeah. Gina, what is your fifth and final prediction?
Jay White will leave New Japan.
Oh wow! Wow.
Nice. So 2 points there. Oh my God. So at the moment, Jaxie finishes with 26. Gina, you're on 38. Monty's on 37. He needs this one. Monty, what's your last one?
Yeah. Can I say screw Okada, Ishii, and Tanahashi for killing my young boys? Because I predicted that Shota Umino would become a champion this year, and he had that year, and he did not. He did not. He still has yet to win a legitimate championship. Maybe 2024 will be the year, but that's it.
I don't know. Ran Narata has got it out for him, so I never know. You never know.
Well, again, we all know what's happened here, and I don't need to say it. But what
you're going to say it, so just say it.
No, because I've still got a bonus prediction left, and I find this even more poetic that I'm going to win off this one, because my last prediction is Drew McIntyre turns heel, and God damn it, Drew, you finally won something. Yes.
I'm happy for you on this one. I'm happy for you on this one.
My God. So it means...
It's fine.
Conspiracies, if I'm truly honest. But yeah.
Hey,
I'm just going to send you to finish the Clash in the Castle later, just to screw with you later or something.
Final scores then for the year-end predictions 2023. Jaxie,
excluding... Yeah, we don't need to know Jaxie's score.
26 points.
There you go.
Just
Thank you. Make me feel better.
Jaxie, if you've got even
I'm
more
glad I can help Monty.
a couple of a couple of WWE pay-per-views, your scores will be different. We know that much.
Yes. Well, 2024 will be my year.
Yes, we shall see. Monty finishes third on 37 points in the end.
Man.
But again, Monty, you run me hard. I got to say, but it came
you know,
down to your Achilles heel.
11 points
AEW.
ahead of fourth place, so I feel better.
Jesus. I mean, and then, fuck. And finally, second place. And Monty, sorry, before we move on, you have won the most events in 2023. I did work it out the other day. And
okay, give me 2 points for that. And now I'm back in second place.
I'm not going to give you 2 points. I'm sorry.
Just playing.
I'm not going to give you 2 points. I might do next year. But like I said, you did win the most.
Well,
I
Take a
worked out,
bow.
but I can't remember where it is now. So if I can't find it in my book, tough titties. But I know you did. Gina,
I'm awesome. It's cool.
yeah, Gina just won everything. Basically, the last the 6 months, last 6 months of 2023 was just Gina winning everything. She ends the year on 38 points, top of the WWE League as well. But fair play. And Gina, again, I hope you don't mind me saying, but I remember you saying to me, maybe last year, even the year before when you were doing it, that you weren't that confident. And I think that's changed now. And I think this has proven how good you are at predictions.
For sure. I definitely didn't know I had it in me to sort of get myself up to the top there, especially into second place. I definitely think that you squeezed in some extra points there for yourself, but we won't go that far. We'll leave it there, and I'll accept the defeat this time still.
Yeah. Because even if you change it to 1 point each, I still win. But again, it's not about me, all right? And I hate to make it about me, you know? Like I said, when I started this podcast back in 2015, did I think I would beat so many people at year-end predictions? No, I didn't. Did I realise how good I was? How smart? How handsome? You know, how humble? Probably not. But you don't become prediction king of 2023 without the hard work. And kids, that's the important thing, all right? Maybe one day you can end up like me. So that's nearly it. Again, you know, we're all happy. We're all pleased. Finally, well, you know what happened finally. Unfortunately, we have had a passing of a former WWE and New Japan Pro wrestler. Killer Khan passed away at the age of 76. He had so many battles against the legends like Bob Backlund, Pedro Melis, Andre the Giant. Run with WWE in 1987. And, of course, a lot in Japan as well. Monty, as we end this show here, it's always upsetting to lose a wrestling legend, and especially when it's connection with New Japan and WWE in this way, you know?
Yeah, man. Like you said, it's always sad. It was tough to hear that news. He's definitely before my time, so I didn't really get a chance to watch a lot of them. But you know, it was just one of those things where, again, like you said, you saw communities of whether they were classic WWE fans or whether they were New Japan people or just New Japan themselves honoring the loss. So yeah, man, it was unfortunate. But you know, as a wrestling family, we take a lot of these losses, but you know, we also come together as a family to, you know, to just get through it together, whether it means watching old clips or whatever it is that how we do. But, you know, that's the one thing about this community. It's always tough when we lose someone. But, again, I think it also is also just like awesome how we can come together because of something that they put their blood, sweat, and tears into. And you can always go back and watch for reference or, you know, and mourn in that way. So, yeah, man, it was tough. But, again, it was one of those things. He's a legend. So, rest in peace.
Well, it wouldn't be the podcast if I didn't bring us all down before we finish, would I? So, you know. But that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at WNRJR. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find and listen to you?
Yes, at Mind Monty Pod. Like I said, the Mind Monty Podcast will be returning at some point this month. I'm just trying to really formulate the exact date of when I'm going to lay out my recordings, but I have everything planned out. Definitely going to talk a little bit about Wrestle Kingdom, as it was very, very special to me for a lot of reasons. And I have a lot of other stuff coming too down the pike this year. I'm looking forward to a strong year for the show and for my platform altogether. So, yeah, check me out at Mind Monty Pod on Twitter.
No doubt. Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
At Jaxie Scarlett on both Twitter, X, or Instagram.
And Gina, of course, where can people subscribe and share any of your stuff that you do?
Yeah, you can find me on X or Twitter at Purple Pain.
Yeah, double also on Facebook and Instagram. Of course, all Google platforms. Send us an email at doublepodcast@gmail.com. And YouTube is Double Podcast with all latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube to do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, well, the girls will be back in 2 weeks. for the Wrestle Kingdom review. But next weekend, me and Monty, we're getting evil. We're going to bring you NXT New Year's Evil, which will be fun. And I've just looked at the time, and this might be the longest podcast we've done in about 2.5 years. So I'm going to leave it there. Until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thank you for joining us, Jaxie.
Thanks for sticking with us, everyone. It's been fun. Happy New Year.
Long and fun. Bit like me. Of course, the mind of Monty. Monty, again, you've actually probably made me laugh harder than I have done in a very long time. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. No problem. Always fun, guys. And looking forward to this year. Thank you, Tony, for the long ass card. That's why we got a long ass show. And thank you, wrestling in general, for causing me to work 3 to 4 weekends in a row.
Yep. Always the way. And of course, the genius of Gina. Now, I know I did win, but I think the true winner of the predictions is Gina. But you won't accept that, and you're going to come even stronger in 2024, aren't you? I know it.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely coming for that top spot. So I'm just as determined now to get into the next year. But it's been fun for sure.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.